Welcome to Dialog Choices podcast. Trying to rev that engine, trying to get that brain going. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. We've been yelling for 20 minutes, but I'm tired again.
We have
somehow.
not been yelling.
We have
just been sort of.
We have been
mildly.
Almost every
shouting at
podcast
each other.
is preempted by us shouting about something. And then I'm like, wait, no, we can't just. This will just go on forever. We have to start the actual podcast, and then we try to start the
To be
podcast.
clear, Andrew was the only one who was shouting, and also it was only about 7 minutes.
I was shouting.
wow,
a
you-
little bit.
recording this
You
whole
guys
time.
Timing
don't
it.
listen to me.
But also, especially last week, we end a podcast, and then there's like a half an hour of like bonus podcast no one gets because we just keep going.
That does happen. Yeah.
It's very
I'm
funny.
Andrew. I was shouting for 7
Hi,
minutes.
yes, I'm Keith. He's Andrew. Colonel's here,
So he's somewhere. He's somewhere.
and Toaster's activated my trap card and cannot speak in this episode.
Hi, I'm Toaster.
Shit, I didn't read out the consequence text. I don't know what happens now.
Oh, there's a consequence. Oh, I see.
This has been an eventful week. We hit the threshold in Cape Escape where shit started going down, and I'm not going to discuss any of that in detail, but Cape Escape is happening. And then we did a Street Fighter 6 tournament, which I branded as Defeat Toaster because that's a better title than anything else that you can give it. And did we defeat Toaster? Did Toaster get defeated?
Yeah. Toaster got
Yeah.
5th place at his own tournament. He's a washed-up has-been who doesn't know how to play Street Fighter.
Damn. Toaster's feeling
Horror
down
Buns.
on video games now.
Yeah.
Wait, I
Horror
don't think
Buns,
I-
the artist, the furry artist, took 1st place at his Blanca. It was fun. He beat our master rank Manon player Joe. So it was a fun time, but I washed out pretty hard. I was 2nd seed and I got 5th, so that's embarrassing.
There were 17 competitors, and I got in a 4-way tie for 13th place, which is second to last. We all collectively beat one person.
Yeah. Me and Bird both tied for 8th.
Yeah. You guys did a really good job. Andrew and Bird both had a really strong showing at the tournament.
Yeah, Bird is 9th place, Andrew is
comparatively.
7th place. Andrew tied with Mona Lisa, which seems like a
Did
significant
I?
above your belt
Yeah.
placement.
Yeah. Andrew was the king of upsets.
yeah.
You beat a lot of
Yeah.
players that you were not seeded to beat. So good job.
I think a lot of people also just don't experience a lot of JP in their lives. It feels like people take a lot of risks.
People need more
that
JP
are
in their
within-
lives.
Yeah, they do. They need a lot more JP in their lives. He has a lot of high risk zones people seem to run into like purposely.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think you should be here. And you could kill me from a distance, or you could kill me from like where you're standing, and you don't need to come this close. Like, go away from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a good tournament. Good turnout too. There's a lot of people.
It was. We're gonna have some more people next time. Apparently, there are people who didn't play this time that were like, "I want to get in next time." So, sure, it will get bigger. It'll be a fun. We're gonna do it monthly. Next time there will be prizes. I don't know how big the prizes will be, but I'll probably be buying people some like
Nitro.
Steam codes or something.
This time
I
the
don't know.
prize was I drew Horror Buns as Blanca because I felt like it. There was the prize accidentally. I was tempted to hit up Crimson and commission him to do it, and I'm like, Crimson's probably asleep already by now, and I also just like feel exhausted and don't really want to do anything else today, so I'm just gonna sit here for 6 hours and draw, and there's the prize. It was.
Yeah, I washed out at 5th, and then I grinded the battle pass for 8.5 hours, slept for 2 hours, woke up, and grinded the battle pass for another 6 hours.
What the
Oh my
fuck?
So
Why?
that's because I can't take losing at a video game.
You've
And I need
played Street
to get
Fighter
better.
for 14 hours since the tournament yesterday?
pretty much. Yeah, I
The
didn't
one
really
that
go to
didn't
sleep.
even end until
Yeah,
18 hours ago.
Yeah. I've been watching the Evo matches that I missed. So this weekend is also Evo, which is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. And because the tournament that we held was at the same time as Evo, I couldn't watch. So the moment the tournament ended, I, very upset and fuming, just turned on Evo on one of my monitors, watched the top 96 and top 6 for King of Fighters, watched, or not top 96, top 26 for King of Fighters, top 26 for Strive, just caught up on everything, all of the games that I missed while I literally just sat in training mode grinding and like played a bunch of Battle Hub. And I slept very briefly from like 10:30 to about, I would say, maybe like midnight ish. Then I woke up and I played for a lot longer, and then slept again from like 7 a.m. to like 9 a.m. And I immediately started grinding again. I have Street
God.
Fighter open on my screen right now.
Damn. Okay.
And this is what you don't tell me when I say, "Hey, Toaster, how are you doing?" When we both join Discord before everybody else.
Yeah, I didn't
says
want to
that.
be.
That's
I
very
didn't want to
well.
be a downer and
No,
make
no.
people feel bad until we had it on
Crazy.
recording. I am never going to. I am never going to lose a tournament again. Fuck you
I can
all.
tell.
I'm
Well,
so
okay.
upset.
Good
I am
good, healthy
so
reaction.
upset.
Why? You say that, but the character you chose is clearly not your pride and joy.
No, I hate my
Like,
main, but I'm going
yeah,
to
like,
get
come
really
on.
good with
Let's,
him. I'm going to get
that's
really
fine,
good with him.
but let's not act as if like, you know, you didn't get devastated on your on default here. Like you put a,
No.
that's pretty good. Getting 5th place on not your best character is a great show. That's
Well,
like
I mean,
fantastic.
Dulcim is my best character, but the issue is he's just the only character I know how to play in Street Fighter 6 right now. I can pick anyone up. I can learn how to play anyone. So the moment I get out of my ranked hell with Dulcim, I will switch to a character that I actually want to play and enjoy playing, and will do a lot better, I think. But yeah, I like the learning process.
Because you've trapped yourself in a YouTube series about getting diamond
Yeah.
Dhalsim, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm very close. I only have two more ranks left to go to get there, so I'm not. It's not an infinite struggle. Like I'll be able to get there just fine. I just need to get past this plateau.
I feel like you would do like really great as Cammy or Kimberly.
Oh, I probably would.
I feel like your Dhalsim plays really well to that. You're good at changing your space, like your location very quickly. You're just like, I'm
playing
out of here, or
the
I'm
mix-up game and spacing and stuff. I'm pretty good at. Yeah. I would love to play someone like that. I mean, the Rushdown crew they're all just really good characters.
DJ. Oh god.
Yeah. DJ was the character I was considering picking up way back when the game first started, and then I was like, this is too hard. But then that was before anyone knew anything about the game, and now I look at DJ and I'm like, oh my god, it's so easy. Why did I have to pick a hard character? Why did I pick Dhalsim? Because in my head, like in week 1, playing Dhalsim was really easy because you just do spacing, and you're like I'm gonna hit you with standing medium punch, which goes 3/4 of the way across the screen because Dhalsim is stretchy. Like he's the game's resident zoner, so he's just like a very easy easy character to like chip wins off people with and like just cheese them. But at higher ranks, Dhalsim is a character that is designed in a way that he is really oppressive in some regards, but to make up for how unbalanced he is in those regards, he is missing core tools. So just to think of Street Fighter, it's like every character can throw. Every character, like the base of the offense is like you throw, you attack, you block, you reversal, you jump. But then like Dhalsim's attacks are like really big and do a lot of drive gauge damage and cover a lot of space and like are relatively powerful standing moves. So in order to balance that, they're like, well, he doesn't get a reversal. Well, he has the slowest walk speed in the game, so he can't shimmy. He has like a float, so he can like float over projectiles, but he can't block in the air, and anything that hits him when he's in the air will give him like basically a counter hit, so he eats damage. if your opponent reads you. So it like, on one hand, I have learned how to play the game without some of these really privileged tools that other characters have. But on the other hand, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm actively hurting my development with the game because I'm not learning how to play Street Fighter 6 as a whole. I'm learning how to play Dalsim, which is like a very nuanced, sort of complicated. It would be like if there was one Overwatch character where it was like, yeah, everyone in this game has cooldowns except Genji's cousin Kenji. Kenji doesn't have cooldowns. Instead, you do typing of the dead to play Kenji, and it's just like, it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense, but sure, there are great Kenji players, but they play really differently than everyone else. That's
woke
what
SJWs hate men, and that's why they created Kenji.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just weird. It's just a weird thing, and I am very disappointed in my performance at this tournament. To be fair, and I'm not Johning here, I lost fair and square. I was very drunk, so there was also that. But that was fine. It was fine. I'm never losing a tournament again. This is how I know. I messaged Apollo at like 2 a.m. I was like, this is how I know I like fighting games, because I feel worse than I've ever felt in my life right now, and all I want to do is keep playing. Like, all I want to do is keep playing and
this
get
is
better.
good. This
No,
seems
it's very
bad.
good. No, it's very
awful.
good because like I feel truly disappointed in myself for my performance, but instead of being like, oh, fuck this game, I hate this game, I got cheesed, this is, fuck this, I watched all my replays and I was like, all right, here is where my problems were. I dropped conversions, I wasn't going for the correct Oki, like I wasn't doing what I needed to do. Here is how I fix that. And I made a little checklist. I made my stupid little checklist and I did my stupid little tasks. And now I'm never gonna fucking drop a tournament again. It's not happening. I'm coming for you, horror buns. I'm gonna do it.
My God.
So yeah, no, it's self-improvement and it's great. And then I'm gonna play better. And even if I lose, I'll be like, well, at least I didn't lose playing like a scrub like I did before. And that's good. That's self-improvement. And it makes me feel good. And I like it.
Well, congratulations to Robo Badger and Robin.
Yes.
Horror Buns won the tournament, but Robo Badger and Robin ruined Toaster's life.
Yeah, Robin was very good. Robin was someone who
He had
showed
great
up.
timing.
Yeah, she came out of nowhere, played Ryu, and it just very fundamentals based, really solid conversions, wrecked so many people. We went back and forth. I think I think our set was 2-1. But we were very close. They were like game 5 games every single time.
I remember
it was really good.
I remember doing commentary. I was streaming the tournament myself, and I was doing commentary during your fight with her, and I do remember getting explicitly mad at you because you kept doing drive impact, but Robin has like incredible timing. She will she will like last pinpoint millisecond get that drive impact in to counter you. And like every time you did, I was like, Toaster, stop. I was like, please.
It's my panic reaction. That's how you know that I'm playing tilted. Because like, so what happened originally was Robo Badger. Robo Badger was like, plays Manon, which is a character I have a lot of experience against. But they specifically were playing, and they were like, I know Toaster's really weak to drive impact, so I'm just gonna drive impact. And like, that's not even just a me thing. That's like a Dalsim thing.
Yeah.
So it's like it was difficult. So I started using Drive Impact more in an attempt to preempt Drive Impact. And that's just how you know that I was lost. They completely scrubbed me out. And that's what I mean when I say, like, I played poorly. Like, I was not consistent. I did scrubby things that I know better than to do. At this point, I look back at my replays and I'm like cringing because I'm like, if you were to remove my name from the little like player thing on the top left side of the screen or whatever, I'm like sitting there watching these matches and I'm like, oh, why would you ever go into EX Fireball here? That's such, you don't even get good Oki off it. And then I like reveal my name and it's me and I'm like, oh no. It just hurts.
Well,
I will say though, oh sorry, go for it.
Just to explain like how this whole thing works, it was a double elimination bracket. So what we did is we did like an hour of round robin beforehand, and then the results of that determined the setup of the bracket or whatever. And the way that this works for that people that aren't used to it, because I'm not, is that every time somebody loses, they then go down into the losers bracket, which is a separate tournament from all the people that have lost so far, where all of the positions are based on the positions of the table above. So it's not that everybody who ever loses in the tournament above starts over from scratch and all competes from scratch. They compete starting at the part of the tree that they lost at in the first place. So you don't like lose forward progress for your wins, essentially. So everyone who loses in the first round starts at the very beginning of the losers bracket, and people who lose later in the original bracket start later in the losers bracket and don't have as much to climb back out of. But it ultimately leads to a situation that follows that tournament tree structure you're used to, but you ultimately have to lose 2 matches in order to actually be out. So it's not just all one and done and everything. I had a very exciting surprise because when I won, this did not. So this tournament happened in like Andrew and especially Bird's like training arc. Like Bird has been playing this game nonstop for like the last 2 weeks, especially. And it went from somebody who didn't know basic inputs like jumping and blocking to like having fundamentals and stuff like that. So this was like his big moment to like prove himself. This was not in my training arc. I showed up to a thing other people set up and had other priorities for the last like week or two. So I was basically worse than I was last week at playing Blanca because of how little upkeep had happened. It's just I'm not playing competitive online games right now. But the fun surprise was that when I put out the tweet for it, we got Horror Buns, which is a creator of an adult furry visual novel, and Mutual on Twitter that showed up, and I'm like, that's fun. That'll be a fun person to recognize in the tournament because there's a lot of viewers that are mostly like they're like usernames I recognize from chat but I don't know really, and then a few people that I know a bit better because we've hung out in VR chat, but it's a lot of names. It's hard to parse the crowd overall. But I've got a when you have a visual novel creator showing up, you're like, well, that's interesting. That spices up the roster. But I face off against him in round robin, and he's Blanca. He's also Blanca, which is not a fucking outcome I expect, and he destroys me. Like, he does shit I've never seen Blanca do, because I've only seen myself play Blanca, basically. Yeah. And he can pull off this insane stuff, and immediately I'm just like invested. But also the moment I knew I was completely fucked in this tournament, beyond the obvious element of not knowing what I'm doing, was that I then started the tournament against Horror Buns in the first match. After already having proven I would lose against him, I then fought him again anyway in the real tournament.
Yeah, that's how the seeding works. Is it will put people against people like that in an attempt to figure out like what the brackets will actually be to save people time. Basically,
there was zero chance I was going to defeat Horror Buns. But more interestingly, when I got kicked down to I lost against Horror Buns, and who did Bird lose against? Bird lost against Leapy. So then Bird and I ended up in the first bracket of the of losers bracket against each other, and so Bird got to prove himself and show like how far he's come, because I have destroyed him in fighting games so far, despite still not putting any time in. And he defeated me in the first round of the losers bracket and moved on to get defeated by Mona Lisa, one of the organizers of the tournament. It was very funny fighting Bird, because I'm going to be honest, I kept feeling like I was winning, even though I lost the whole match. Like I lost every match, but match, not rounds. But I felt like I was winning because I was getting away with so much shit. Because what I do is I realized fighting Bird that he has like, he's got like this like flowchart brain. Like I can tell that I can tell that there's certain things he's interacting with and certain things that he doesn't interact with well. So I would just do different moves and cycle through what I can do until I found something he couldn't react to well, and then just tortured him with it. Just over it. At one point, I think I did the command grab as Blanca 7 times in one round. It's like I just kept doing it over and over and over.
That's how you learn, right? And I think in Bird's favor, right? Like he adapted. He learned how to play, which was just like it was. I'm like
a training dummy against Bird, like how you told me just to do Blanca Ball over and over again until Bird finally started doing drive parry for the first time ever because he couldn't do anything else against Blanca Ball. And then eventually, I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking keep jumping on him. It keeps working, so I'm gonna keep doing it. But anyone that actually knows what they're doing can quickly hit a point where like, oh, I'm just gonna take out half their health bar in one go. Because people can like combo you and trap you, and I don't know what to do about that yet. But it was an entertaining thing. I mostly was just hanging out and watching because I knew I was going to. I knew I was going to lose every single match, but there was a villain built into this story because Joe had been obliterating us in our first session of this game, and Manon is just an evil character. Like villain coded, but also just insufferable in a lot of other ways. And so having somebody that's playing my character and going up against Manon was like that. There was a clear hero and villain of who to cheer for and against for the finals. And so I was pretty jazzed when Horror beat Joe in the winner's bracket, but then fucking Joe managed to climb all the way back up through the entire loser's bracket and then face off against Horror Buns again. So I got an instruction on how these tournaments end, because what happened is Joe, as the winner of the loser's bracket, faced off against Horror Buns again and did win that match, but that means that they've now both just won one match or one series of matches against each other. So now they have to do it again. And then in that one, that still came down to a 2-3. Like it was literally down to the last round of the last match of the last game. And it was fucking agonizing, and I actually cheered.
That's awesome.
I was very surprised how invested I got by the end, but that was the maximum possible drama you could have. That was absurd.
Well, the system, I'm not very familiar with the systems, but the way you described it, it sounds like it's designed to do that. Well, I suppose it would depend on the qualification.
To some extent. It's a bit of a surprise because it was a washout when they first fought. Horror Buns won 0-3 at the end of the winner's bracket. But then once Joe fought all the way back up through the loser's bracket to fight him again, it was exclusively...
they got a reset. We had a reset in grand finals.
Yeah, it just kept... It was like the maximum possible number of fights you could have in order to determine... an outcome. I say climb all the way back up, but he was just waiting at the top of the loser's bracket the whole time, I guess.
Horribun sat pretty as a Blanca player, a menace to society, just ruining everyone. Joe put on a really good fight though. I think if Joe focused more on not dropping really important conversions, he would have done better. He made some interesting choices and dropped a few really, really important things, and that's kind of ultimately what cost him the game, the tournament. But overall, it was a fun showing, and we had people from all different skill levels. So like one of the things that I think is worth calling out for people who are listening and who might be interested is like, again, Bird didn't know how to block last week. Like he got
a couple of weeks ago,
5th or 7th or something. And then technically there isn't an 8th place. It's like 7th and then 5th, and you have 2 people tying for them. but the yeah, he did really well. And like we had newcomers, we had people who just didn't even have the game until that morning playing, and some of them did well. Like it's fun to just play in this format because you get matches against lots of people, funny things happen, you see something crazy on stream and you laugh at it. Like it's a good time, it's fun, and then in the end you feel really invested in like the finals because you played with everyone and you got to see the bracket and you're watching it in real time. And I feel like everyone just got it, like the tournament vibe clicked at that point for everyone. So we're definitely gonna make some changes and like make sure that it runs a little bit more smoothly. We'll probably do different pools next time if more people join. The more people there are, the less effectively we'll be able to like capture every single match. Like even this time it was kind of hard because only a few of us were recording, and some of us ran into some recording issues. At one point the game booted me, so it caused OBS to stop recording, which was a bummer. So we had to use my stream VOD for the video, which is fine, fine quality, but yeah, it's just it's like a whole thing. So if you're interested in playing, we'll probably do another Street Fighter 6 tournament next month. And maybe if people want to play other games or just have like sort of an unfairnament with, other rollback fighters or things on Fightcade or whatever, we could do that too. That could be fun. Next year is going to be a big year for fighting games. Lots of games are coming out. Tekken 8, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. We might hear news about a new Virtua Fighter. We got season 3 of Guilty Gear Strive coming. Garo, City of the Wolves, possibly others. So I think it'll be fun. If you're interested, feel free to join the Discord and participate. We got actually a pretty big group of people now that play fighting games in the Keith server.
Is Garu just onomatopoeia for Awu?
No. No. What are you talking about?
I thought it might just be like Japanese onomatopoeia or something. There's a lot of it.
No, it comes from the French word for werewolf, loup-garou.
Loup-garou.
But
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why would I know that?
You don't know French? You live
Yeah,
right next
What?
to Canadians?
that's why in like movies and stuff,
There are-
the people would be like the cool name for vampires would be like Garo or the Garou. Like that's what they're called, loup-garou. But yeah,
I made a new
got a lot
Wolf
of
OC.
people.
His name is Fenrir. All right. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Damn it.
Sorry, it's Fatal Fury, not
Oh, yeah,
Garo,
Unfairnament.
even though Garo is one. But
Just the fucking absurdity of just like, Unfairnament. I haven't heard that term in years. Does anyone remember what Unfairnement is? Fucking raise your hand in the chat. Like, it's
Is that common of a term?
been like 8 years or something. That's a show we did 1 million years ago.
That's where I heard it from.
Yeah. It literally, Unfairnament literally happened because some of my college friends were hanging out and visiting at Andrew's place, and we just made up a show on the spot called Unfairnament, where we just pool whatever games we have on hand and randomly select, like you do the round robin like tournament grid thing where every combination of people are going to face off against each other, and you just pick random games and random people, and it's not fair. You don't know how to play the game and you just have to fight now.
It's the Omegathon. It's the PAX Omegathon.
Yeah,
it's
you just go, and then if two people tie, you then have to do like a sudden death round where you just do another round between those people specifically. Real rough thing to do. Not very marketable or brandable or SEO friendly because no one knows to even look for it. So no one's gonna find shows like that like on a whim. So it doesn't really do very well. But also like you have to get a bunch of people and keep them around for like an entire day for a thing that'll probably take longer than you meant for it to. and you have to like, for whatever games you have on hand, you do have to have like the like separate recording setup for each console, hopefully working and everything. And so there's like all this like tear down and setup and mess to try to like to do. And then you have, of course, like 5 to 8 people in one room that might have 1 or 2 microphones total, so it's also an audio nightmare. And there's just like a lot of reasons why it was a rough thing to set up, but it was very funny. Had a lot of incredible moments. One of my favorite absurd moments is getting people to play shooters that don't understand shooters or that have only played other kinds of shooters. Like, I think we had 2 people face off in Turok Rage Wars, and they just fundamentally could not figure out how to navigate the environment because it was such a weird shooter compared to ones that they've played before. They literally could not find each other in the game at all for huge stretches of time. And then we had 2 Call of Duty players face off in Halo, and they couldn't shoot each other because Halo doesn't have auto aim. Because Call of Duty has fucking snap aiming, where you aim down sights and it automatically aims at people. So Call of Duty players, or at least a lot of Call of Duty players, going by the sample size of these people, don't actually know how to aim in a shooter with a controller. They just know how to run around and then like GTA auto target people. So when they played Halo, they physically could not hit each other. It was like watching people learn how to play a video game for the first time. There's some real incredible moments. And what is it? There's a lot of moments like somebody was pummeling on me in like, not Mortal Kombat, but the Mortal Kombat superhero games, I think. He was like destroying me, and I'm like, well, how the fuck do you block? How the fuck do you block in this game? And when I finally figured out that it's like left trigger for some reason, then I just started coming back very viciously. Like there's a lot of like upsets like that where people figure out the game on the fly, and it's just dramatic and stupid. It's a very stupid show. I had fun with that. Now no one lives in the same city. Fuck you.
Not one of you?
No.
We could probably almost
Andrew and
get
I live
another
pretty
one
close
going.
to each other. And
Yeah.
Andrew's
Yeah,
like not even 30
And Marty.
minutes.
Yeah, no, we
Marty's
could
not even
we could
30
reasonably
minutes
try
from
to
here.
organize it with Marty, and probably in Marty's house,
Really?
honestly.
Really, what just happened was Keith went, none of us live in the same city, but really it's just Keith that doesn't live here. We're all like within driving distance from each other, like and not even far driving distance.
Anyone who was
Marty
originally
just hates
involved
us.
in that kind of stuff all scattered to the winds.
Yeah.
It is a massive and strange and honestly kind of frustrating coincidence that everybody ended up moving towards where I moved from afterwards.
Yeah.
I lived near where you guys live already. It's not fair. I was there before.
I mean,
What?
I lived pretty far away. I was not near where any of you guys were, but now I am.
Yeah, and now you guys both moved to where I moved from 4 years ago. I'm like, this just pisses me off.
You gotta move back.
Could have
gotta
been
find
near
a way.
people. God knows I'll never fucking meet anyone.
I don't know. I like the area. I like the area we're in. Actually, speaking of this, I have stuff to say about this. This might be exclusionary to Colonel. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about our
I don't
local
live
area.
in those cities. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No,
he also
you do
doesn't
not
play
live in
fighting
California.
games. This is a spectator podcast for Eternal.
We're here to tell Colonel stories, and he can nod and go, "That's
I
cool."
am enjoying.
the whole
I'm
time.
enjoying the stories very much.
Colonel's like, people listen to this show? This is awful.
No, I'm listening live first before everybody else.
Yeah. So I've been exploring Sacramento the past few weeks since moving here. And I like this place a lot. People say Sacramento's boring, but I think it's great. It's a really well laid out little city. But I have been going to movie theaters and stuff a lot. And I finally saw Barbie. And holy shit, Barbie was amazing. Everyone should go see Barbie. We saw it at a tiny... So one of the things that's interesting about Sacramento is that there's a lot of like non-franchise theaters here for some reason. Like it's not like LA. It's not like LA where you go to like a theater owned by a film studio that like, I'm not even just talking about like not AMC or not Regal. Like in LA, there's like iPic and Alamo Draft House and Cinemark and, you know, all of those fancier theaters too, the Academy Theater and all that. But like out here in Sacramento, there are so many like single screen mom and pop theaters. And I don't know what made this be a thing, but I love it. We saw Barbie. The screen was amazing. The audio quality was amazing. And it was like, they served me like, I mean, I've been to tons of like bar theaters and restaurant theaters before. I had a full ass like meal at this theater.
Wow.
And it was good food. Like it was awesome. So yeah, highly recommend checking out the theaters in Sacramento. The theater that we saw Oppenheimer in 70 millimeter in was pretty amazing as well. 70 millimeter IMAX was very cool. But yeah, man, go see Barbie as well. Barbie was a real joy. Highly recommended to everyone who's listening.
I did enjoy Barbie. It was fun.
I will watch it this week because I'm
I
on
need to go
vacation
see
and
it.
I have time.
Yeah, maybe we'll watch it and then yell about it next week. And Barbie spoiler cast. Let's do it.
It's
And I
so
think
much
it's the best
fun.
movie ever made because I don't watch movies.
You'll probably really like it, Colonel. It's very funny. It is a very funny and insightful movie.
I like that sort of
but
thing.
yeah.
I just don't
Yeah.
have people to see movies with, so I don't see movies.
Just go see movies alone.
I'm not
know.
gonna see
Fun.
movies. Yeah, I'm gonna see Barbie alone. Yeah. I mean,
That
I
was
could
what made-
invite
Way to
other
do
people.
it.
That was my Zootopia experience. That's how I track when I became a full timer. I didn't like to keep track of the exact day that I quit my job, but one of my first memories was that I went and saw Zootopia in the middle of the day, and that was just a very strange experience of like, oh, right, I can just do stuff now. I can just do what I want instead of being beholden to and
Crazy, huh?
expected somewhere all the time. And then I cried. I cried at the carrot recorder scene, and I don't know if it was because it was such a sad scene or if because I was just having a moment not being in a cubicle that day and like
Don't
being
even,
in a,
Understandable.
I don't even remember that scene.
how do you, the tunnel.
remember.
You don't?
You don't remember the tunnel
Nope.
scene?
Parrot recorder? No idea what you're talking about.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Zootopia.
Yeah,
How dare you.
I know what movie we're talking about. I can tell you the plot of that movie mostly, probably.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That changed immediately. That was like mostly maybe. Wait.
But like, I don't know. I don't know, Zootopia. That was a good one. I saw it a few times. Or twice maybe. But I don't remember the carrot scene. I don't remember that. I'm sure if you described the entire scene to me and it was like, it's a scene where a sad thing happens to someone, I'd be like, oh, I remember a sad thing happening to that person, but I don't remember the specifics. It's fine.
Well, you know what? Every movie has their lowest point, and in this
Yeah.
case, it's where the buddy cop duo breaks up, and then they
Yeah.
come back together in the carrot recorder scene, and they're on the other side of the big dark tunnel, and she records him, and he records her with the carrot recorder, saying that she's just a stupid bunny, and then starts playing it back and forth. It's a sad emotional scene, but then he's like playing, but he's like
Making
fucking
fun.
correct word for the sentence.
All right. Keith somehow has not spent like 18 hours playing Street Fighter straight and getting no sleep, but he is struggling to form coherence.
Yeah,
I struggled sleeping last night.
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't remember the carrot recorder scene and this entire time until you said he actually recorded her. I thought you meant it was like a recorder, like you would play like hot cross buns on,
No,
It makes
it's
more
a-
made out of a
Oh.
carrot.
No,
no,
it's,
yeah,
it's,
I was-
it's a
I was like,
no.
I don't
Tape
remember-
recorder.
Yeah,
Just a
I
tape
was like,
recorder
I don't
would've been more
remember
sensible.
I don't remember a scene where someone plays a musical carrot. What are you talking about?
No, he's
He comes running out of the police car with a recorder, like.
That's
No.
why I was confused.
Like,
there's a carrot pen in the movie that also has a voice recorder built into it that's used in like a dozen scenes. It just continually reinforced from the very beginning of the movie. I don't know. I couldn't finish that sentence. I was like, dispelled, dismantled. None of these are the right word for like what he's doing in the scene, like undercutting the tension or whatever, and
I don't
like
think that matters.
breaking the emotion. Like, okay, I can't fucking finish that sentence. It's gone.
He's alleviating the weight of the emotional.
This is why these essays take so long to write.
You can't figure out.
No, I need the right word. I need the right word for what. That's the end of this podcast. Bye.
Lies. This is lies.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's nice to have. I think movie theaters are a nice hangout experience. Obviously, wow, I'm life hacks. I'm hitting you with the amazing fact that people like to socially watch movies. So the fact that I have one friend that lives within an hour of me and she's busy all the time means I don't see movies unless I just really want to just go out in the middle of the sun bleached day and be like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna intentionally not work on my essays or any of the stuff that I want to be getting done today, and I'm going to take some me time, and that never happens. So I don't see movies.
Well, I think that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah,
Is what not a good team? What?
I said I don't think that's a good thing.
No.
I don't think it's ideal
no.
do that.
The Street Fighter thing kind of highlights an element of what it's like to be a self-employed person versus somebody who works a day job that ends at a specific time. It's like the like you and Bird have a split between like your day job and here's what the thing you have to do all day, and then you go do your free time thing, which might be streaming, or it might be like, I'm just going to fuck off and play Overwatch for 8 hours straight, and I'm going to work on my Mercy fundamentals, or I'm going to get really good at the Foot Lady from Street Fighter. And that's like a thing you can choose to do as a block of free time, because you were like, in a weird sort of way, it's like the way that I often think about it is because I've never really had that experience, is that I think about it as like when you get off of school and now you can do whatever you want and hang out with your friends and draw or whatever the fuck interests you. And I'm like, I have like essentially like my professional goals, which are my creative goals, and I get some level of self value from them, but also need to literally make sure I'm doing it right to make a living and whatnot. And there is no one telling me when to start and stop working. So I pretty much ended up doing exactly what my dad did, which is just working all the time.
Well, to be fair, you also have two jobs. You're trying to do video essays, and video essays are in and of itself one whole job. Like, that's just a job. And then you're doing the Let's Plays, which is a full job, but also a job that has two jobs crammed into it. You are creating content and also editing content. Those are complete, like, actors do not edit their own movies for a very particular reason, because that's too much skill. And so you have three jobs right now, Keith. You have three fucking jobs.
I'm also still trying to write fiction sometimes, and I'm still trying to draw sometimes. Like,
that's a fourth job.
There's just things I want to work. There's things I want to develop and work on and do more at and everything, and it's difficult to find the time for it and everything. I could absolutely do what a lot of Let's Players do, and I've like you could just do the one thing and then be like, yeah. Anyway,
yes, you should. That is
but
ideally.
But I have things I want to accomplish. But all of those are structural, difficult things instead of fuck off. Watch Barbie things and become good at Blanca things.
I think the important part of like that, or why that happens, is because then you see a lot of the branching out being able to take place. You see that people, like, I don't know, you take like a big YouTuber like Markiplier or somebody who did it, like, I imagine did all of this themselves. They were like the all-in-one shop. But as soon as they had that opportunity to throw away the burden of one part of that, they can then start focusing on other projects.
Does Markiplier have employees?
Oh yeah.
Yes. I
thought I saw him snarkily replying to someone on Twitter recently, being like, "You think people work here or something?"
He said, like, "You think I have a team?" But it's because, like, he doesn't, like, have, like, a PR team or anything like that. I think he has some editors. That's it.
Yeah, he has editors. Like,
he might have, like, a merch team.
For years. I haven't watched his videos in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely more of, like, the content creator, or, like not director, but, like, the...
Oh, yeah, he does movies and stuff.
Well, he does, but I don't mean in that sense. I meant, like, sometimes he's, like, just a lead on a creative project. Like he's
He's
not
the
directing
executive
it, but
producer.
sort of. But he's in the project. I don't know how to describe it, but it's
can do that.
yeah. But that's what he tends to be focusing on. But that can branch out to a lot of stuff: music, like video games, or whatever Smash or Pass thing is that he started. Like that kind of stuff is like that. That's all projects he can focus on because he has other people in the background doing particular tasks that would otherwise consume him, would take over all of his time. And that's like, I think that's the problem, is like you have to find a way to reach that point when you can do that, and then you can start.
But it was very eye-opening getting a reminder of just like kind of like how akin to like how when I go downstairs, like people are just playing League of Legends all day and so on, and I'm like, that's a different life. That's a different experience that I have. Like it's very eye-opening to get Bird and Colonel into Overwatch and very quickly see them have hundreds of hours in Overwatch 2, and I'm like, oh. Right.
I reached my 1,000-hour mark.
The way that people just play video games and just go. Like that's why akin to like how like when I commit to a game, it's like a 4-month commitment, but when somebody else picks up a game, they beat it that day. Because that's how people play video games.
I have found out that I am very scared of the big guy from Resident Evil 2, so I have not beaten Resident Evil 2 remake yet.
You're afraid of Mr. X?
Yeah,
have you been playing it?
Oh, Resident Evil 2 is so fucking interesting.
I'm playing so slowly.
So happy to hear that.
I'm playing so slowly that he hasn't showed up yet. I was just like,
apology
I don't want him
accepted,
to show up.
Toaster.
I think you'll like it. I think once he shows up, you'll probably be scared of him at first, and then you'll see the beauty behind the design, and you'll be like, "This is cool."
I mean,
this is
my
cool thing.
Resident Evil.
One of my favorite
Resident
horror
Evil
games
2
is
makes
Alien
you.
Isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's relatively similar actually, but like Resident Evil 2 makes you feel super unsafe and like you can't get anything done, and you're like the odds are stacked against you, and you have to take everything very slowly and carefully, and always have your exit set up and always have everything prepared. And then Mr. X shows up and be like, "Ha, you don't have time for that. Fuck you. React.
Yeah.
React now."
Yeah.
The number of times I was in a room and I had like you go like my favorite thing about Resident Evil 2 and also just that whole formula is just that it's built around the safe rooms. So you're in the safe room, you hear the safe room music, you dump the stuff that you think you can afford to get out of your inventory because you're making space in your inventory for the specific loop through that wing of the next part of the area you're trying to explore, and the items you think you might find and want to keep from that run, but also need to keep stuff in your inventory that'll make that run survivable. And you're thinking about what risks you know about that are along that route, and then while you're doing that route, there's like a 25% chance that a liquor will show up that you did not know was there, and like a 50% chance that right at the worst possible moment, Mr. X will come out of the worst possible door, and suddenly you have to go in a completely different direction and just go and react, and it's all going to shit. And that's just there's no safe rooms until you complete the loop. You got to get back, so you got to fix this. It's an incredible.
I think it's interesting. Because Resident Evil 2 especially, that game has such an incredible empowerment curve for the player as well, because everything that you're describing right now is 100% true for your first playthrough.
Yeah.
But then going back through on hardcore and like learning how the game works and your routes and like where items are and how long things actually need to take to get done and like how fast you can do things. I think my first playthrough of Resident Evil 2, my first playthrough was on hardcore. I got through it in like, I want to say 7-ish hours, 8-ish hours maybe. And then my second playthrough, I got S+.
Wow.
Which is like under 2 hours on hardcore, like not taking a ton of damage, like stuff like that. And it's so incredible being able to do that and just do that organically from playing the game even just once. It's amazing. I love it so much.
It's also what's good about discovering Resident Evil now, this late into the franchise, is that if you enjoy that early experience, you can do it again and again across like 8 games.
Oh, the original wasn't like this. Resident Evil 2, the original works. The Mr. X works completely differently.
No, but the experience I'm talking about, where you have to deal with the safe room loop and making plans. like taking
You do it again.
you make risk reward assessments about what to keep in your inventory and what you think you'll be able to accomplish and whether or not you'll be able to make it back or do this, and like what you should take with you, because you need to leave enough space for stuff that you actually are going to find and so on, and both supplies and key items. Like that loop and that planning and that uncertainty is my favorite thing in Resident Evil and one of my favorite things in video games. But you can't replay any of those games to recreate that experience. Like when this happens both when I talk to Toaster and when I talk to like Rosefix, that artist, is that like they both just are like they almost don't register what I'm talking about, because that's not how they experience Resident Evil anymore, because they've played them so fucking much.
Yeah, the game
Yeah, that's also like the universal experience of like when Resident Evil 4 remake was coming out, for example.
Yep.
Everybody was posting their like 4th playthrough times where they unlock the cat ears and the wolf tail and shit from playing the game 50 times and going faster and faster and faster. And also Resident Evil 4 remake is built for that playstyle in the first playstyle. Yes. Like it is a massive like everything's going to shit react now high speed nightmare that is itself a form of desperation and scrappiness that isn't the boring Gears of War clone that was 5 and 6, because those were just those games you were just instantly empowered. You just were Marcus Phoenix but Leon Kennedy. You just mowed everything down with your friend and then quipped, and then like there's no replay value because you're not better the second time. You were already too good and strong the first time, because it was a completely linear series of levels with no uncertainty and experimentation, and you had no like there's no like learning curve to how to actually become good at the thing. Like you didn't really have it was really cool how like the I kind of got to recreate and recapture the experience I missed in the Resident Evil 4, because when I played Resident Evil 4's opening village place that was so hyped up all these years, and I had already experienced versions of in Resident Evil 5 and 8, and it was desperate, and like in 5 and 8 it was desperate. Like that was the best part of all of Resident Evil 5 is the first level where you and your friend are completely overwhelmed by this nightmare number of enemies coming after you, and in 8 it's like a meant to lose fight style of being overwhelmed. In 4 because the level design has a lot of dead ends, I just kind of walked to the right, got stuck in that one hut, and got completely trapped and just kept throwing grenades or shooting people in the head over and over again. And so I just like tower defensed down the entire horde and didn't have anything even resembling the experience that people always talk about for Resident Evil 4, and then it was over. But Resident Evil 4 Remake made that happen to me, because you couldn't, the level design doesn't allow you to not have that experience. Like they specifically removed I think a lot of those traps and made it more loop based and more of a mess, and I had this really cool emergent moment of like discovering in real time that you can deflect a chainsaw perfectly and ruin your sword, but it does save you from the chainsaw. And like that was my first chainsaw encounter in all of Resident Evil 4 Remake, after having basically no chainsaw encounters in Resident Evil 4 original besides the sisters fight. And so there's a lot of stuff that like you can see Capcom getting better and better at this despite being like just putting out trash for like 5 years in that franchise. Like they quickly like changed gears in a way that companies like this rarely do, and that was really cool.
I'm a big fan. I think that the loops in those games and the way that it teaches you how to be good at them just by playing them is really cool. It's like it's just a lot of games I think should take notes from RE2, 3, 4 Remake just in general. I think they're very interesting games.
I really like the way games do that, but slow. And I think RE4 specifically does it very fast in terms of it wants you to learn fast.
Yes,
and so it ends up like if you're so for me anyway, the easiest way for me to deal with the requirement for speed is to get myself desensitized to death, to the death in the game, and I think that's a bummer. So I've never played Resident Evil 4, the original or the new one, mostly for other reasons, so not that. But after watching Keith's Let's Plays, I feel that I would be very frustrated in being like, I know the game wants me to do something, but it's not telling me what to do. So I could try endless possibilities. Not obviously not endless, but
I'm trying to
it's
remember
the trial and error.
the Resident Evil franchise now, and I feel like I died a lot against the first zombie in the first game because I just was dumbfounded by how hard he was to kill and did not know what to expect of the game. But besides that, I feel like I went through the entire franchise dying very, very, very infrequently right up until Resident Evil 4 Remake. That killed me constantly. Like, I think that was like the only one that was really like that at the time.
I felt that you died a lot in the original Resident Evil 4 in ways
Maybe.
that it seemed like you were...
Maybe.
You know,
Both
not-
4s are very aggro.
Yeah.
I think I died more in 4 against the weird parts of the game, as opposed to like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking back now. I do remember like the cage scene and like the chainsaw sisters scene, and like there are like
Ashley getting kidnapped.
they're definitely like set pieces that you struggle with. I do
Yeah.
kind of enjoy a game that's just like, here's a 5-minute level, like a set piece, and you have to figure out how to get like survive it, and things keep going wrong. And you have to juggle multiple things. Like Ashley is pretty interesting for the fact that she's this separate thing that's going wrong on top of everything else that's happening. Like the opening encounters of Resident Evil 4 teach you how to just keep running and be self-sufficient and keep moving and stay ahead of the rising problem. So having a separate problem to juggle on top of that you can't that you can't just solve by running continually is very interesting to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely was more frustrated by the original Resident Evil 4 than the remake. Like, there were definitely parts where I was losing and was just kind of not enjoying the game. Like, I was thankful for the fact that you can make a choice between 2 routes at that one early part of Resident Evil 4, because the giant encounter was so frustrating that I was glad to be able to not do it and do the chainsaw set piece instead. That was just a cooler level in every possible way. Like, I don't know why. And then noticeably, they just deleted the giant scene from Resident Evil 4 Remake. There is no branching path. You just only do the chainsaw scene, which is better. Even
you
if it
can
is
tell.
Yeah,
They
like you can see them learning as they go.
Yeah.
And yeah, like like retroactively, people were like, "Oh well, giant scene's obviously easy because all you have to do is knife the chained door open." And I'm like, "What? Why would I think I can knife a chained door? The fuck are you talking about?" Like, they put me in a hallway with a giant and a bunch of like shoot this to make it fall traps. Clearly, I'm supposed to beat the giant by defeating it with a series of traps that you knock down to on its head. But I kept dying instantly and restarting over and over again because he kills you so quickly. And every time I would shoot them, they would just slightly miss over and over again. It was so deeply frustrating. And then, like, on my 5th or 6th attempt, finally I hit him perfectly. And then he just got right back up immediately. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't do shit. I don't actually know how to win this fight. And only through the comments I find out hours late or days later, like, oh, you're supposed to knife the door open, a thing that's never happened before. Like, okay.
You don't have to knife the door open. You can beat him with the traps. But the thing with this, and I think the thing that people appreciate about this game in particular, is that it is a set of design puzzles and questions where it says you have X, Y, and Z ways to interact with things. So you have to deal damage on stuff. Anything that needs to get damage dealt to it will have damage dealt to it by any of your tools that deal damage. So when people are like, knife the door chain, what they're actually saying is like, you need to deal damage to the thing. Like dealing damage to the chain is the key. However you want to do it, you can choose.
I think at
from
that
your
point, it wasn't established
keys.
that you could break a door open.
I mean, all doors can be broken. I think it's established in the first area. The very first fight is when the enemies break the door down.
I don't know. I think
I said I think, but I know.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, well, I mean, I don't think the enemies breaking a door down establishes that you can fundamentally in a video game.
You can though, and that's the thing.
Throughout the
though, is
Resident
that,
Evil
like, you can
series,
knife through stuff.
Sure, I understand that the truth is the truth because we're working backwards from already knowing the truth. But I'm saying that as a player, doors are this impossible thing you can't get through in Resident Evil games, and you need magic, fucking special, unique keys to get through each individual door. And if that's gone, then you can't possibly interact with that door, basically. And that's true for like every single Resident Evil game. Like you just open it via an open prompt or a co-op prompt, or you need the angel key, and if you don't have the angel key, you literally cannot enter that room, and that's it. Like, it's not like Deus Ex where you can like blow up the door. So
yes,
Resident Evil 4 having destructible doors is kind of out of nowhere, and putting you in a set piece where you have to break the door to escape is not information you have at that point. Like, that's not how the series works, and there was no like break this door down to continue like tutorial earlier in the game. So like that's
what I'm saying is
it's just an incomprehensible encounter.
The very first encounter of the game sets up how the rules of Resident Evil 4 are different than the rules of the other ones. Most importantly, that doors are not a loading screen in most cases. So the fact that there are interactable things in the environment, like bookshelves and windows with the, boards on them, and things that you can actually interact with that take damage and get damaged that you can possibly break through, like windows or doors with locks on them that you can shoot the locks off of, and like things like that.
This is
obviously
also the same
I'm not saying every single moment is
it's like
intuitive, but
it's the same franchise where Mr. X can break doors, but you can't. Like enemy behaviors are not tutorials functionally, because
but I think in Resident Evil 4 they are. That's what I'm saying, is that like people learned these things because they work a certain way. So it's like, it's not insane to say like, oh, there's a thing on a door I can break that takes damage.
A thing at some point, inevitably, but.
And again, I'm not saying it's because the enemies can break the door. It's that the village encounter sets up a lot of different interactions for you to possibly play with. So it's like, oh, I can jump through a window. Can I shoot through a window? Yes. Oh, the enemy can I can kick an enemy into the door and it explodes the door. Does that mean I can break doors? Yes. Like, there are a myriad of opportunities to learn this information leading up to that point. So while, yes, someone being like, the big brain play in this particular instance is to knife the lock, I think that it's also not a stretch to say the game communicates its options well enough that when you see a lock that you don't have a key for in a hallway that has no other openings, maybe you just hit the lock. Like, that's
I can't agree with that at all. I just can't.
I understand what he's trying.
I think it's very obviously you're trapped in a hallway in a boss chamber. You have to beat the enemy to continue, like in every video game you've ever played.
Yeah. No, I think, but the thing is you can, and that is actually the way you're supposed to. But what I'm saying is it's also not insane to be like, oh, there is another solution to this problem that we can do.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I'm saying about that. I'm not saying like the actual answer isn't to knife open the door. That's just a possible answer that is illuminated by what the game offers you.
Yeah,
people
but I just don't think there was a single
time
it would have been communicated to me. Like, it just
I don't think it wants to.
Especially
it doesn't want to do that. The point is that you're supposed to find out about it naturally. You are supposed to be just as desperate as Leon is. What are you going to do in such a desperate situation? Are you going to knife a fucking lock? Like,
this is why every time I play games from a decade ago, like Majora's Mask, people are always like, "What the fuck? You can do that?" Because there's tons of stuff that nobody knows about how games work because they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Again, my thing with this door isn't. My thing with this door though isn't that you weren't supposed, like, that's what you were supposed to organically come to on your own as the only solution to this problem. You can use the traps. That's why the traps are there. They are solution one to a puzzle that has probably 4 or 5 solutions. If you have a rocket launcher, you can probably just shoot the troll and kill it. Like, that's the way these games are designed. They give you tools.
Honestly, let me know in the comments if you think that encounter is actually any good, or if you're just like, nah, I'm going the other way, or it's good that they cut it from the remake.
Yeah,
When
I'm not
I-
even saying that
when I-
encounter is good.
Because I think it's a
know?
poorly communicated encounter that's deeply frustrating and full of frustrating mechanics that just do not reliably work or are not things you would reliably be able to pull off as a player or understand about the game. And so they were like, "Yeah, no, we're not making this one again. We're not putting this one."
No,
in the
yeah.
remake."
I mean, they got rid of that section because its pacing is bad, and it just kind of is there as a bunch of weird sandbox moments where you loop over doing puzzles that you've basically already done, like encounters you've already done before in better and more interesting ways. I think any sane person who plays through that is going to see the traps and go, okay, I'm going to use the traps, and then you use the traps and then you deal with it. You know, the solution is not to run to the end of the hall and knife it. It's just when you understand the things you can do in the game, that becomes the best solution, because it's like, oh, okay, I understand what the game is asking me. It put a hallway with a bunch of traps and a monster chasing me, and it has a gated, like a gate at the end, but I actually have the key the whole time, so I don't need to interact with everything else if I am smart enough to recognize that. And I do think that the game, Resident Evil 4, especially the original, but even more so the remake, has a very linear progression of how it teaches you the various skills and various interactions you can have if you are just kind of looking at how all of the encounters are designed and all of the mechanics behind the set dressing, right? So it's very easy to do what you said and be like, Resident Evil is a game where every door has a special key and you can't get through the door without the key, and the door is a loading screen so you can't break through it. But Resident Evil 4 very specifically is a game where it's like, did you know you can stun a boss by throwing an egg at it? If you equip the egg, it's throwable for some reason. Why would it be throwable if not to be throwable in the game for some explicit gameplay purpose? I'm going to figure out what that is. And then you do it and you go, oh my God, it stuns enemies. That's crazy. That's a very interesting set of systems that I think Resident Evil 4, especially the remake, is very, very good at teaching the player how to do.
I was going to say that I like that the Resident Evil 4 remake is specifically better. Like, both games were frustrating, but Resident Evil 4 was better at being frustrating because it was hard and not because it was baffling and like what do they want from me. Because it's so deeply frustrating to replay the same sequence over and over again and being like, I don't really know what they want from me or what I'm doing wrong or what are possibilities. Like it's part of the struggle with like for example, there's the tunnel monster. And like, I'm sure a lot of people love that fight and think it's really cool, but not using guides, not using any information about it from outside, I'm like, I sincerely cannot tell if he takes damage. I cannot tell if I'm supposed to defeat this enemy. I can't tell if he's a unstoppable, used to knock like dude that chases you forever guy, and you can only momentarily stun, and you're just meant to like stall just long enough to escape. I don't know if every single once I finally won that encounter, I then immediately loaded my save and was like, okay, I'm not going to shoot this guy. I'm just going to keep all my resources. I'm literally because like,
oh, are you talking about the xenomorph looking guy? I can't remember his name.
The ice tunnel guy thing.
Yeah.
That keeps doing QTEs at you. Like eventually I just like, okay, I'm going to undo all of the effort I put into this fight. I'm going to specifically not resist him at all. I'm just going to keep running from him and save 100% of my ammo. And so, because I was so frustrated by having to finally win through trial and error and having all of my efforts to try to fight him been a waste because he would not show any signs of damage or like progress in any way, that eventually I'm just like, okay, fuck it. I'm just going to evade the entire fight and save all my stuff. And then of course I look it up online. It's like, oh, there's a reward for beating him. I'm like, fucking how? Sure, whatever. Yeah. I never want to go in that hallway again. I was having so little fun that I never want to play that room again. And I was dreading that in the remake, and it was better. Yeah.
In the remake, I did that fight. I beat him my first try and went, I wonder if there's a trick to this, and immediately reloaded. Beat him by just doing like what you're supposed to do without using all my resources, basically, and then was like, I wonder if you can just avoid this, and then I reloaded and just avoided it.
So you do save scum. You guys are the best.
Well, in that particular instance, like that is another thing that I'm kind of getting at here, is that like these are games that really
That
encourage
yeah,
open
100%.
system experimentation.
100%.
And usually these games, I think, are pretty good at rewarding you if you have a hunch, and they're pretty good at laying the crumbs so that you can get hunches. Because, like, if I had not beaten Verdugo the first time and did not see the reward, I just ran away from him thinking he was an evil monster, I probably still would have reloaded to just be like, now that I'm gone and I made a save file on a different little thing, can I beat him? Do I get something cool for that? Because, like, it's a cool set piece thing with, like, a very specific amount of interactions that you can have. So it's like, all right, I can freeze him 4 times, and while he's frozen, he takes seemingly damage because blood is spraying out of him, and then he runs away from me, and we go through this loop. Like, video game genre savviness tells me that this is some sort of interaction. I'm very curious. And thankfully in Resident Evil overall, I think it is good at not punishing you for trying stuff like that. Because if this were a worse video game, and if this were one of the worse Resident Evil games, you might
the ones I played
Hold up.
first.
yeah, you might go to a moment like that and try to take out an enemy and then not get a reward for it, which is like a bummer. You know, it's always a pain in the ass. This is what I talk about with people when I'm talking about, like, why I really like the Souls games designs and how kind of logically and reward based they are laid out. But you know, I'll play a game like Wo Long, and I'll be like, oh shit, this NPC just talked to me, and, like, they mentioned something. Maybe if I go there, like, I can find them and that will progress their quest. And, like, I go there and I encounter something that's, like, kind of interesting and seems like it might be related, and then I beat it and it's like, you got 5,000 souls, good job, that's it. It's like, oh, there, it's
It's the most
signposted
basic quest type.
it just
Or
made
quest design.
it made it seem like I might get something for this, and, like, I might be doing something interesting by interacting with and recognizing the game design behind the game that I'm playing. But no, there's nothing here. That character just mentions the offland hills because the game wants you to, I guess, know that that's an area you can go to, and then it's just unrelated to them or their quest or any progression, and you don't need to go there, and it's an optional area that just, like, isn't really beneficial and is just a waste on your resources. Like, that's a pain in the ass. I think Resident Evil is especially good now. The remakes, most certainly, are very, very good at never doing that. Where it's like, if you get a hunch and you're like, holy shit, can I beat this thing by, like, throwing an egg and dynamite at it because it's its favorite thing? Like, oh my god, yeah, it worked. It tried to eat the egg and then got blown up by the dynamite. Like, in there, that was in a note that told me, if I just read the note, it said, what's his name's favorite food is eggs, and he's really scared of dynamite. It's like, oh, I can actually, like, use this information. I can weaponize that. I really, really like that, and I think the Resident Evil remakes are especially good at that.
Yeah, it felt to me watching the Let's Plays of particularly Resident Evil 3, the 2 as well, obviously, but they really want all of the. They really feel like they want, like, the all the writing to be more than just writing, and add to your understanding of the mechanics.
Yeah, it's all very, like,
maybe-
ludonarratively laid out.
Yeah, maybe not all of them, but, like, there's a lot of them that do that.
Yeah. It's very good at signposting ideas and encounters and kind of teaching you mechanics that way. And I just pray, I hope that if they, for whatever reason, go through with remaking all these shitty Resident Evils like Code Veronica and 5 and 6, like, they'll do well.
Code
with
Veronica
them.
was good fun watching. I never played them, but 1 and 2, they're
Yeah,
Realistically,
I love
this
Resident.
entire thing is just to try and get rid of 5 and a bunch of all their
They're gonna-
bad games from their library. They're
Yes,
just like, yeah,
literally.
we'll remake all the ones that everyone likes, whatever. That's easy. But then we're getting rid of those fucking problem children. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's
strangle
like,
history
we're gonna
once and for all.
rehabilitate these.
yeah, we never made a bad Resident Evil. That never happened. You can't prove it.
Exactly. I mean, that's the goal, right? And if they can manage that, that would be cool. I would appreciate that. But
I just want a
I'm
good
just
5 because Chris Redfield is the only good Resident Evil character. He's just the best one. Ugh.
Fuck.
What the fuck? What? How
Everybody
am I
hated
wrong?
that. What the fuck did you say?
Can you prove to me that Chris Redfield is not the best character? That man literally
He's
will
the
show
most
up
popular
and fucking
one in gay porn, but that's about his high
No.
watermark. He is
How
not.
could you say
He
that?
is kind of every
I do
Chris
not.
Redfield's a total jobber, dude.
I do not think that he's a
Redfield's the
particular
best.
popular
Oh my
character
God.
narratively. He's like the least interesting possible
How?
human being in the entire universe. People just
How
like to see him
boring are you
naked with
people?
peers a lot.
Nah, man. Claire, Jill, and Leon are all way fucking cooler.
No way.
I think
Every
Chris is
time.
better than Leon.
Every time Chris Redfield shows up, you know it's a fucking party. He's going to make your life hell. Like, you're going to show up and he's going to be
no.
like, here's a fucking motorcycle I made 5 seconds ago. Good luck, bud. And you're like, why the fuck did you make this? And then you go outside and you're like, oh my God, why is this here?
No.
Chris
I
No.
hate that
I-
Chris
I-
Redfield
I
is
think-
like a weird meme character that only
Ah.
exists in the minds of fans and not
Yeah.
actually in the games.
I think Claire is my ideal Resident Evil protagonist.
It's just,
Yeah, she's awesome.
the world is so sad and boring. I just need fun in it. It's like everyone's talking about, like, look, the whole world, it frustrates me. Everyone, every single time falls for the same fucking thing, except for Chris Redfield, who keeps walking around being an enigma. No one understands this fucking
Except
guy.
he does though. Like canonically, Chris.
He's an
Chris is
enigma?
just like
But
failed.
Chris
He
doesn't
has
get it.
been
He never figures it out. He keeps falling for the same trap, but
Chris
not the
is-
way
yeah.
everyone else does.
Yeah, Chris is
Everyone else-
an idiot.
Chris, so,
The funny-
but he's an
Leon is an
fucking
idiot
kid.
as well.
Yeah, well, no, that's
Every
that's
other-
No,
most
Leon's
of the
like a sad boy. There's a difference.
most of the plot of Resident Evil 6 is that Chris and Leon are both fucking clueless.
Yeah.
They literally
Well, I mean,
beat
one
the
of the
game
funniest-
without learning what the plot of it was.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Like,
That
you
is
literally have
sounds
to
like
play
Andrew's
other.
dream.
You have to go play as
Andrew's
Jake
dream.
and Ada to learn what the plot was, because Leon and Chris both tried to kill each other over it without ever knowing what it was, and then never resolved it. They just shot a big guy and was like, "I guess we did it."
One of
That was
one of my
it.
favorite things about Resident Evil protagonists is that they are very one-dimensional, but they're one-dimensional in funny ways. And I do agree, like, Chris is funny. He's like a meme character. That's why I don't like him. I don't want memes in my Resident Evil. I'm not
No.
interested.
I don't
The
like that
second I
he's
saw
this.
him, like,
I don't like he's like.
punching boulders and shit, and when they reference it in Resident Evil 8, I was just like rolling my eyes. I was like, fuck this. I hate this shit. But
Chris is awful
I
in like
love-
every game after the first one, because like
yeah.
5 he's the boulder puncher, in 6 he's like everything I touch dies, and then in 7
Yeah.
and 8 he's just like a vague cryptic like I am involved in like some esoteric shit we're not going to unpack and explain for several games.
He was
That's
recruited
great.
into an anti-terrorism org that became a terrorist org, so he splintered off to form his own anti-terrorist org,
Which is
but they
called
might be
Umbrella, but with
terrorists.
the blue logo now. They're probably the good guys, right? Like, what the fuck is he doing? What? What a stupid
fantastic.
character.
It's everything you say is just what makes Chris great. Every single thing. It's just like all.
They
of
didn't
his
even.
favorite-
They didn't
right?
even make
That's
him.
why
They
he's
didn't even
fun.
make him a werewolf. I have to look up fan art of him as a
Yeah.
werewolf in his black outfit in 8 now,
It's
because
My,
they're too cowardly to do it for real.
My favorite thing about Leon is that Leon is just so pathetic. And like, I mean this, I'm not saying this in like a like he's my scrunkly cinnamon roll pathetic like me. I mean like canonically Leon,
Yeah.
they even made it worse in the remake for him. Leon, so
They
just
did,
to
yeah.
summarize for people who don't understand this, Leon witnesses a horrible event in his life and wants to join the police force so that he can help people. He joins the police force, studies very hard, and is going to be the moral good guy cop, the mythical one of the good ones cops. Goes to the police station he's going to work at, gets hazed and made fun of by all of the other cops who are also objectively morally corrupt, including being basically run by the mayor and by the chief of police, who are both horrible people who turn out, I believe the chief of police turns out to be literally aiding and abetting a child trafficking ring. Then, after on his first day of the job, turns out to be the literal apocalypse, where he meets the first girl who ever expresses interest in him, and she promptly, as far as he is concerned, double crosses him and then dies. Immediately after this event, he is kidnapped by the Secret Service and forced to enlist in a special ops operation where over time, for like 5 years, he undergoes this horrible training that is just incredibly abusive to him. Then his unit is sent out to a cartel mission, Sicario style, and then abandoned by the government that sent him there, in hopes that his entire platoon would die, thus covering up the fact that the US was involved in this incident, so badly botched that the person who is leading his unit defects to join an apocalypse cult. That then Leon is sent to rescue the president's daughter from, because
Now that
the
part
guy
is
wants to
pretty
do
funny, though.
another apocalypse. And then this entire time, Leon is then infected with the apocalypse plague and has to put up with his boss's daughter hitting on him the entire time and causing an HR situation. Leon Kennedy is the most pathetic sad boy man to ever live. He is a loser king. He is a king among losers. No one has lost harder in life than Leon S. Kennedy, and that is so funny. That is so much funnier than anything in Chris Redfield's story to me.
But that's the best part. Meanwhile, Chris is just like, I don't know why this keeps happening. Every fucking game, he keeps showing up. Everyone is tragically sad or suffers incredible loss during this franchise. And Chris is like, what keeps happening? Why does it keep happening like this? I don't get it, but I keep showing up like every game. He is the epicenter of normality. Nothing can stop him. Nothing can make his life difficult. Nothing can make him suffer.
Isn't he like a superhero in Resident Evil 8 at the end?
He is essentially just like, he is literally more of an enigma than any of the questions the game itself creates with its world building. How the fuck does Redfield exist in this world? It makes no sense. He is canonically so fucking stupid. It would be impossible for him to find his way out of a blanket if you covered him with one.
The funny thing about that too is that people, the plot of every single Resident Evil that Chris Redfield is involved in is like somehow related to people being like, and then Chris Redfield disappeared, so now I'm chasing him to find him and find out the umbrella that he's trying to search. And it's just like, at this point, like Chris Redfield runs back into Jill in one of the movies or whatever, and he's like, been a long time since I saw you, Jill. And she's like, literally, if I was her, I would be like, I've literally seen you multiple times in the past few years, and immediately after you just go missing every single time. Why do you just stay in one place, man? Just like rent an apartment. Just, you're like, what? You're rich. What's the why do you keep disappearing? It just doesn't
everywhere.
make sense.
He's everywhere. He is in every story. He's like in every corner of the world somehow.
At this point, it just makes no sense why anyone is still looking for him, because he'll either just show up at some point or get lost again. Like, why?
He is literally just a demon. Like, people want him. They can never get him. People don't want him. He shows up. Like, what more could you want from a character than this like unintentionally chaotic nightmare? Just a literal natural disaster waiting to happen in a universe with a literal zombie apocalypse. Like, he is scarier than the apocalypse happening. If he shows up, you know fucking something's going down, and it's not good for both the good guys or the bad guys. Like, nobody wins when Chris walks in, and that's the best part about Chris Redfield. He's a nightmare, and you always experience him. I love him. He's the best. Like, how is it? every character in Resident Evil, like legitimately, I'm not even joking here. Every character in Resident Evil is just somehow fucking neck deep in the most vile corruption ever possible.
Oh yeah, everything's
every
corrupt.
single fucking one of them. Like the Resident Evil world is seriously god fucking awful. And I don't know, you could make a joke about parallels to real world or whatever, but like no, seriously, this place fucking blows. A zombie apocalypse wasn't its worst problem in this universe. Like it's insane. And like everyone in this world suffers. Everyone in this like horrendous weird way. They're constantly in like insufferable amounts of just a state of trying to both survive but also save the world. Like they literally are always in like do or die situations that are hyper impactful to the overarching world they live in. And then there's just fucking Chris. And then he just is. And like it's a man who just wears a turtleneck to a fucking weird town in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, who hands you the keys to a car he made. Bullshit. With what degree? You can't even fucking lift rocks without thinking about the morality of it. And they're fucking not alive, Chris. Put them down. And like, he's a what? How do you even get this character? How do you accidentally go from, oh, it's just a cop, a guy I found, so to speak, in a police station, to like a Mission Impossible level fucking cartoon character? And everyone else stays, but everyone else stays consistent. Everyone stays on point. But somebody showed up one day and was like, Chris, today you're a superhero. And just it threw the whole timeline off. Someone fucked up Chris's entire lifespan in like a single writing decision where everyone else just didn't have that happen to them. And like, I don't know what happened, but they like contained the breach into just Chris Redfield. There's no other silly. It's just Chris. Every other character is insular in their own suffering, but Chris gets to just like live in a pocket bubble of perfection. He does like it's so weird. I don't know how he's here. That's the best part of him. He doesn't fit in this universe. He shouldn't be here. It's great.
I agree with Andrew's perspective on what constitutes a better character. Chris's inane out of placeness or Leon's patheticness, and I agree that it's Chris, because in terms of Leon is not the most pathetic male character in the setting.
Because who do you think is more pathetic?
Code Veronica has somebody. I forget his name.
You're going to talk about Steve, but Steve.
I'm sorry,
Steve.
I don't even have a last name.
Burnside.
Oh,
Steve
no.
Burnside.
Okay.
He's like a fuckboy though. There's like a slight difference there. He's pathetic in the way that like someone thought he was cool, but he's actually like super cringe.
Nice.
He literally throws the cure away or something because he's looking at his companion's ass. It's just like in a very weird cutscene.
That's pathetic in a very different way, though. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
When I say that Leon's pathetic, I mean like no one has tried harder to have a worse life than Leon Kennedy.
Leon has like no agency. I don't understand how he continues waking up in the morning. Like somebody has to be waking him up, right? Because he doesn't literally do anything with his life. Like,
he can't. He's been kidnapped multiple times by shady government agencies that just tell him what his life is. Steve Burnside is pathetic in the sense that he's like cringe. He's Omega level. Like, I have the power of God and anime on my side. Like cringe tier.
Yes.
Like
100%.
Yeah, I'm gonna post this for Andrew because he doesn't know who this person is. Steve Burnside is unbelievable as a character.
Yes, unbelievable as in who even wrote this and put this in a AAA video game?
You can hear his voice. I can hear his voice. Is like enough to explain his whole character.
Just thinking of him, I can hear his voice. It's a very special voice. Because it's not even the person's voice; it's the voice the actor is making.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Steve Burnside, I'm gonna light some people up right now. People are gonna be upset that I said this, but Steve Burnside would really like Kingdom Hearts. That's how I feel about Steve Burnside. He's like he's that kind of person. That's my view. He has an Organization 13 coat.
My God, that's on purpose. Like you can't.
That is on purpose. Yeah.
You cannot accidentally give him that voice. Like it's not
No,
like
it's
we just didn't
absolutely on
have
purpose,
anyone
yeah.
available for casting. Like that's a fucking decision.
That is on purpose.
He's so dumb.
Yeah.
Oh.
And most of it, and like what he does at the, it's just like typical sort of kid stuff that adults are going to be like, oh boy, I guess Steve is having a tantrum. But it's not adults, it's another survivor. And incidentally, another survivor who's Claire Redfield, voiced by one of the best voice actors in the entire franchise. I was really a fan. They keep changing Claire's voice actors for some reason. But I looked at I think the only time Claire is voiced by the same person is in 2 games is the new voice actress.
Yes,
I believe.
Resident Evil is wild. We spent a lot of time talking about Capcom games today. Street Fighter 6, also Capcom game.
As a background thing, when you heard Toaster say this is incredible, is because while he was doing his very long rant about sad boy Leon and the first woman that ever showed an interest in him betraying him and dying, and then being kidnapped by the CIA or whatever the fuck, I'm just like, oh, I was only one thing I'm thinking about right now. So I did that. Corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture meme, but it's Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil and Junpei from the Zero Escape series.
No.
Yes, the same character.
And it's made worse by the fact that I used Resident Evil 6 Leon and Zero Time Dilemma Junpei, who look like the same character too.
They do look like the same character.
But I'm like, this is the same backstory. You can't trick me. It's just that it's even funnier in Zero Escape because technically Zero Escape is the more unhinged and absurd setting than Resident Evil. Like, part of the joke in Resident Evil is that it feels vaguely grounded and then every single fact is unhinged. And then the monsters, of course, are insane and everything. But like, Zero Escape is instantly insane, but somehow feels more insane by the fact that just like at the end of the day, Junpei is just like a dude. So like the way he's incorporated into both sequels are completely unreasonable. Like in both cases, you're like, what the fuck? It's like by the time the third one's like, it's like remember that to reveal that like that other lady was trained to be a secret agent between games. I did that too. I stole her backstory between games. I was also trained as a secret agent between the first game and the third one. I hate the series. I hate that. I love the series. It's the worst. What the fuck? Do I like Kingdom Hearts? Oh no.
Oh no. I don't think
is that the takeaway?
From what I watched, there's a certain I've only watched the half of Let's Play of Kingdom Hearts 2, I believe. And I could not follow the plot in the sense of like the details that most of the dialogue is preoccupied with. But I like in terms of understanding the overarching stuff, it's easy.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts is not as hard to understand as it seems. Like when people say it's like super convoluted, they're not wrong because it does have like a lot of proper nouns, and the proper nouns are really specific. And it's like this character is actually this character's brother, and their brother is actually their clone twin from a different dimension. Like, I'm making shit up, but that's kind of the way it is. It's very soap opera.
Every character is 3 characters.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing about Kingdom Hearts that I will say in its defense is that like the thematics and like what Kingdom Hearts is saying as a whole is not very complex. It's like you have like all of this like interconvoluted annoying fluff stuff between like this character is actually this character's special shadow dimension person, but actually their heartless was unlocked by a nobody, and the nobody form is named this, and it's actually this character the whole time. Like there's all that convoluted shit, but like ultimately all it boils down to is like it would be good if we were friends, but being friends is hard because it's tough. Yeah, dark is bad, but what about light? Light is good. Mickey Mouse is here. Like, that's the extent of Kingdom Hearts. Like, that is truly, and I'm saying this, people are going to come after me in the comments because Kingdom Hearts is very close to a lot of people's hearts. I'm glad you all have your fun. It's got some good music. I've played all these games except 3 because I don't give a shit anymore. I can't do it. But like, I don't think these games are very good. I don't think they're that great. And I fully understand them. Like, it's not because I don't get them. I'm not sitting here going like, Kingdom Hearts doesn't make any sense. It's just all nonsense. 1 out of 10 bad game. I get them. I understand the lore. I played the mobile game. Like, I know more deep cut fucking Kingdom Hearts lore than most people do. They're just not very good. They're just not great games. Even I've beaten them all on fucking critical. I have all the achievements to prove it. Like, they're just not that great. They're fluff. They're Pulp Fiction for teenagers who really like edgy Disney looking characters. Like, that's like the best way to describe it. But for whatever reason, that like degree of anime maximalism really appeals to a lot of endearingly cringe behavior and aesthetics, especially on the internet. And so when I say Kingdom Hearts is cringe, it is not derogatory. It comes from a place of love, but also it is very cringe.
Also, get a new game.
Yeah, it's
New
okay.
game?
People who like Kingdom Hearts have literally only ever played Kingdom Hearts. It's the one game that they play.
It's the one game.
At this point, it's just it's
no,
too
the,
much. It's too. I can't try to get invested in a JRPG franchise that's all one big narrative. Oh God.
I would be interested in doing it if I had some sort of guarantee that it wouldn't get my channel fucking just completely demonetized and screwed over for months. Just because those games are very long and they are full of licensed pop music. So, and they're all Square Enix, so all of the soundtracks for even the non-pop music are like claimed, and it's full of Disney actors, so I think even some of the voice acting performances are claimed. So it would literally just be 2.5 years of weekly episodes on my channel that I could not do anything with. That would be not exactly what I'm interested in playing, and they would probably be difficult for me to do anything with. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Well, problem solved, I guess.
Yeah, no Kingdom Hearts.
It's just a huge bummer.
Keith can
when
do
you
it
want
though. You can do it, Keith.
No. What about every other RPG franchise I already started?
You'll never play those.
You can't play Kingdom Hearts.
I'm still trying to very slowly get through all of Yakuza's 30 games.
You're close to the end of Yakuza. You'll be fine.
I'm not close enough. I don't mean that as a.
Like
I don't mean that as a
games.
criticism of the game. I mean like that's just so many games still left to go, and they're coming out as fast as I can cover them at this point. No, I've got Yakuza 6, then 7 and 8, and then Lost Judgment, and then 1, and then I have the like Sengoku era Japan remake that's now localized in English, and then we're also getting Yakuza Gaiden. So I've got like 6 games to look forward to already without.
Yeah, but 2 of those also aren't out yet. So you have 4. You have, let's see, Yakuza 6, Yakuza 7.
But that was a series
So
where I
games.
did get ruined by copyright, and that at least it was a spin-off. But like I started recording. I did 2 hours of Yakuza Dead Souls, then I edited those and uploaded them, and they both got blocked. And I'm like, oh, well. So just in the middle of this franchise of completely YouTubeable games is this one game where you're like, I wonder why a game doesn't get much coverage. It's like, because every video of it pretty much across YouTube is taken down unless they do something fucky with like evade YouTube's copyright systems or something. Like the thing about Yakuza Dead Souls, it's not that the soundtrack's copyright. It's not that they claim the pre-rendered cutscenes. they have block all videos claims for every conversation cutscene in the entire game.
Yeah.
Like the in-game
insane.
shot, reverse shot, boring ass camera angle, press A to continue conversations. Those are blocked. So if you
wild.
upload a Yakuza video of Dead Souls, it gets blocked like 8 times. You're like, oh my god, okay, like, like because I was committed to. This is back when my YouTube channel, my essay channel was low viewership anyway. So there wasn't like higher stakes of like, is this video worth putting out to all these people? Because only 2,000 people are watching any of these videos anyway. Like, my essays used to have fewer views than like the last several podcasts we did. That's how poorly they were doing by comparison. They were doing better than a lot of Let's Plays, and I wanted to have them all in one place because they could do well eventually together, and you wanted them to be findable and not buried and all that. But they weren't like, they were getting a few thousand views total. So then it's like, yeah, maybe I'll make an essay that's like, sorry guys, in my full franchise playthrough of Yakuza, I couldn't cover Dead Souls, so I made a review of Dead Souls, and here's a bunch of the only footage I can put up that doesn't get blocked of Dead Souls, which is exclusively combat gameplay, probably, because you can't show a single cutscene of the game where it gets
Keith
blocked.
is really good at the game.
Or in the context of an essay, I can put the obnoxious, my attempt at not being obnoxious, but it probably is on some level, copyright evasion thing I do in my essays, where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take the frame and I'll slightly tilt it, and then I'll put a scrolling background that moves very slowly just to like throw off YouTube, but hopefully not be actively infuriating to watch as a video. Which
you don't actually know if that works, do you?
I don't know if it works in that I didn't.
I mean, it works in the sense of yes, it does, but if that is the detail that throws it off.
It feels like that's the kind of stuff that would mess with it. It's somewhat based on the fact that like a lot of channels like Red Letter Media and so on, when they do the part where like this is the part where we show the trailer of the game, they'll often have like it's showing on like a shitty VHS CRT.
Yeah, the filters
overlay. Like it's like it'll often be like there's an in-universe TV on the screen that mixed up with the background of the set that we're in, and that part is showing the video, and like that like makes it hard to detect on some level. No, I did not take the effort to do an unedited
A/B
version
test,
of the entire. I didn't A/B test the entire essay to see if it would get blocked without that filter and without that effect.
I mean, yeah.
But it was just my attempt to be able to like, I'm covering an anime for 3 hours. I would like the video to stay up. So even if that's what's so fucked about YouTube is that like if you upload a video like that and it doesn't get blocked, it very well might go up, get 100,000 views, then get blocked. And like the bots like it's like the fucking AI like looks at it
Time
again
delayed,
and is actually and then it's like actually which is fucked up because when you upload something you're very specifically assured we're still running checks on this thing, and then there's a specific mark where there's a specific threshold that's crossed when the back end of YouTube tells you we have checked your thing and we have decided it's not safe for advertisers or is safe for advertisers or so on, and so like that should be seemingly a final decision, but it will just change its mind later anyway, both for copyright and for age assessment, which is what happened. That's what happened to my Annihilation video, is that it got 100,000 views overnight when it finally was given a chance, like 8 months after I uploaded it originally. It's like the Beastars video made it take off, but then it instantly got age gated for being pornographic, and then I appealed that, and they're like, nah. And so now it's just permanently age gated for being pornographic, and so that means it's algorithmically dead, and that there goes any chance for that video to do better in the future. And I'm like, cool. It's not like I worked on it or anything.
Which you should go watch because it's awesome, and
it's a good video, and you will literally only ever watch it if you look it up yourself manually. You will like it's not going to be suggested to you. You gotta do the thing that that people never do on YouTube, which is actually browse a profile and look at videos on it. And if you want to find that video,
you say that, but. And maybe it's just because I've already watched it, but the Annihilation video is like always in my recommended. And I've only watched it like twice. Yeah, it just sits there all the time.
Maybe it is because you watched it already.
Yeah,
'Cause
so I think
it
it will expose it to people who opt into it, but
yeah.
that is part of the problem with the algorithm.
It was just extremely obviously noticeable that it had a massive spike in the analytics, and then the moment it got age gated, it immediately was dead and has never recovered. Like it very obviously, like that video could have 4 or 5 times the views potentially, because it had a significantly more aggressive spike than any other video I've ever made in the history of being on YouTube. Like it could have been even bigger than the Lego Sheep video, but they're like, nah, it's dead now. It's gonna just be suggested to like niche gremlins or people that browse profiles, which is functionally no one. Everyone in my life claims they do that, and sure, but that's just not how people use YouTube. No one uses the subscription tab. No one browses profiles. People barely notice that they're people just spend their time complaining. Why is this in my suggestion? Why was it showing me this? I didn't subscribe to you. And then engaging more with the thing that they're complaining about, and then watching more of that, and then like that's everyone lets the YouTube tell them what to watch. And so if the algorithm kills a video, that means that video is dead. It's just going to be a few people like, I watched that thing, it was nice, and no further exposure.
I think a big issue with the age gating is it also just makes it harder to watch like on TV and mobile, because it will pop up a little thing to like you have to actually manually confirm, and people are more likely to just hit back and then watch a different video than like navigate 2 buttons on their TV remote and click yes.
And you have to be signed in. You have to have a YouTube account or you literally can't watch it. The original reason I made a YouTube account was to get past age gating when I was like 16. Just the whole thing. So at that point I was like, fuck it, and I made furry art the thumbnail. So I might as well have fun with it. I do have this very nice painting of a frame of animation, of a frame of Annihilation that is my persona in it, and it's very good. And now it's the thumbnail because I'm not trying to impress anyone anymore. That video's dead. The number of people who complained when I changed that thumbnail, I'm like, fuck off, you don't, this doesn't affect you. You're dead to me.
Now they can't show it to their friends and family.
What are my friends gonna think if they see a cartoon animal person on my YouTube feed? They might think that I have interests and aren't fucking boring.
The worst thing.
Nothing communicates more clearly that people understand that furries are gay than the obvious queer panic tied to anyone being afraid of being associated with furry animals. Like the way that people freak out, like, what are people going to think about me if they see an anthro character near me? I'm like, okay, so you're just homophobic, is what you mean. Like, this is the exact same avenue of fear of like, oh, no, but I'm not gay. But I'm not gay. I'm not gay. You can do whatever they want, like in the privacy of their bedrooms, but I'm not gay. Like, it's that kind of weird self-denial, like, panic that of anyone being say like akin to like, oh no, what if someone saw RuPaul in my suggestions? Like, I might melt and die in the spot because someone might question my sexuality. Like that's literally the moment. It's stupid.
It's possible. You might get stuck in like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest situation where everyone now believes you're gay, even though you're like, I promise you, I can't even look at guys without dying. And everybody's like, nope, that's it. It's over for you.
Meanwhile, Andrew's so not gay, he shared gay porn and didn't register that that's what it was.
I am bad, man.
I am
a committed fan to One Piece. I'm so committed to One Piece, I don't even see sexuality in One Piece anymore.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like it's not even like I'm not even aggressively trying to be like, I'll never let you let this down. I need to shame you for this. I'm just like, it's just the funniest thing that's ever happened.
I still don't even like every time I still do it. I check like I'll look at a picture, I'll press like because I'll still like every picture, but I'll only retweet stuff that is like, okay, I got to make sure it's not porn essentially.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. So I'll like a picture and then I'll sit there for a second and look, zoom in on stuff. Okay, these dicks look fine. Nothing weird here. Okay, retweet. Like I get hesitant that I don't want to like retweet porn again.
For background for this, what happened is during an Overwatch stream, I confronted Andrew over his Twitter likes because Twitter was doing that shit where they share your likes onto other people's feeds and then say this person liked it, blame them if you don't like it on being on your feed, which is Twitter sucks for
your
that.
Politician liked porn and you're like,
Twitter's awful for that, and even worse for being like, here's a spread open asshole, here's who follows this person. No one even liked it, but we're just gonna show you this porn and blame it on people. Like
It's
Twitter's-
gotten to the point where I
John,
tell
and this is
people,
what John.
yeah, I tell people like, hey, they'll be like, what's your Twitter? And I'm like, it's this. You probably shouldn't follow me. It's okay. I will not be
Yeah.
hurt if you do not follow me.
Yeah, mine. I added an 18 plus warning to my account, even though I don't retweet or like any porn, just because artists that I just gave up. Like there would be a thing where it'd be like I was only following safe for work artists for the longest time, and half of them would just start drawing porn, which I'm fine with, but I'm like, is fucking Twitter gonna blame this on me now? Like I can't retroactively keep an eye on all of the hundreds of artists I follow to see if they decide to draw a dick one day because they're an adult, and it's weird that we have to like maintain. Like every single one of us is the fucking little Dutch boy with their finger in the dam that has to single-handedly feel like they're holding back all of porn from the stupid children that we're protecting, apparently. And like that's the whole internet. That's not our fault that it's organized this way. It's not our fault that Twitter is incapable of recognizing adult content and does not care to filter showing it to minors or not. That's literally Twitter. That's their fault. They made the site.
The alternative is that you have to rely on, like parents have to rely on themselves to be responsible for their children's actions.
Yeah.
And
Heaven forbid.
I don't want that. Heaven forbid.
But also,
I'm
like,
not,
but
it's
also,
not my
like,
fault my kids go on the internet.
All ability to do this responsibly went right off just right off a cliff the moment fucking Twitter decided that you don't have control over what you share.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is like, this is actually something I've been sitting on. I've been thinking about for a long time, but it's just like, there's a really interesting switch from the past where this is going to be very possibly controversial to say, but like age gates don't work.
No.
Like being like,
well, I don't
are
think
you
I don't
18?
think it's controversial.
No, but what I'm about to say, I'm sure people will disingenuously frame, but like when I was 15 on the internet, like I looked at porn. That's not like, it's not like a good thing that I did that, but I did. And teenagers.
No, we as a society collectively universally understand that minors do pursue porn.
Yes, exactly. And
this was a common joke throughout all of like the 80s and 90s all the time, and it's literally like the premise of entire scenes of like coming of age shows and so on. Like Sandlot has extended sequences about a bunch of minors lusting after an adult lifeguard and stuff. Like this is a constant thing because minors have themselves awakening sexuality. It's just we're supposed to just not interact about it is the thing. The idea that you're going to keep porn from minors is comically absurd.
Yes, but what I'm saying, what I'm about to say though, is that like in the past we used to be very understanding of this fact and like understand that it is not our responsibility to prevent people from like not even engaging with us, but like noticing us, right? Like, and I'm not saying like minors shouldn't be engaging in adult spaces. This is bad. They shouldn't be allowed on Twitter, period. Minors should not be on social media. I'm sorry. I'm saying this as someone who was addicted to social media as a 15-year-old. You can't. I don't want fucking minors on Blue Sky. I'm gonna report every minor I see. I'm gonna mass report minors on Blue Sky, and I'm gonna make up things that they did wrong to get them off the platform. I don't care. You shouldn't be there. But what I'm saying is, like in the past, if some fucking 13-year-old weirdo followed, like if I was 13 and I followed a porn artist, that porn artist would not ever get in trouble for like me being like, I'm 13, completely separate from them as a content creator on the internet, right? Like the porn artist is just doing their thing and they don't even know I exist.
Like teenagers are let loose on the internet and somehow it's other people's fault.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, ideally, most people don't know who follows them, right? It's
exactly.
When you hear about that, that's because you're watching a drama channel about someone who made a mistake. Like, that's like the only time you hear that.
But the thing is that there has been a slow shift over the years now of like basically people holding creators responsible for the people that follow them, when that isn't actually something a creator can control. Keith has no agency over who follows his account other than setting his entire account private or manually checking and verifying every single new follower notification and
even then,
manually
how can you
verifying who they
manually
are
check?
and blocking them. And yes, and exactly as Colonel just said, like that's impossible to do in good faith because people can lie about their age. So it's like,
And
most people don't interact with their followers. I don't interact with my followers very much. Hi, I see all of you. I leave comments on YouTube sometimes, but like people who follow me on Blue
No.
Sky, I have more followers than people I fucking know in reality. Like I have more Twitter followers than people I talk to on a daily basis. I can't be held accountable for who the fuck follows me. So it's like it's kind of weird that we have moved to this sort of hyper vigilant perspective of like, oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble because Twitter showed all of my followers what porn I pressed like on. And it's like, fucking, this platform is designed to just kill people. Like it's designed to be the worst possible fucking. It's crazy that the social media platform that wants you to be on it all the time is like snitching on you, quote unquote, as it like publicly shaming you and like putting you in these dangerous situations. And it's like, I don't want you to see the like Margot Robbie feet pics I just pressed like on. Like, go away. Like, that's not for you, Andrew. I'm sorry. Those were for Bird. Like,
I'm sorry. I retweeted it. It's fine.
You know, that's all I'm saying. And I'm joking here, but like my point is, it's just there is a weird shift at some point where it went from, oh, weird people follow me, I had no idea, to sweating over every single new follow we get and having to put like 18 plus, do not interact all over our feeds because for whatever reason the switch just flipped and now all of a sudden we're responsible for every single person that finds our account on a public platform and follows it. It's like, dude, this is my fucking Twitter. Go away.
I honestly think it's just also homophobia though. I don't think straight people have to deal with this nearly as much. This is like hypervigilance of how you're presented and like, because we're called groomers if we in any way exist in approximation with anyone younger than us ever.
Of course.
Even though it's literally like being passively followed by anonymous people we don't know. Like that's just it's an overall like an attack on people. Akin to like that stupid thing where like the fucking like Fox News is being like, wow, look at these furries being sexual in front of minors, and I'm like, that's a furry just at a restaurant, and the restaurant spanks people. That the restaurant was made by straight people, but it's now it's a problem that gay people did somehow. Yeah, like it's everything gets recontextualized as being everything becomes a narrative of how to attack us. War.
People will just try to attack us for anything. Yeah, I think though the one little thing I'll say here is just like, this is why I'm such a hardliner on like, there should not be private accounts. If you have a private account, you should not be able to interact with things. Because it also makes it hard. It's creating an environment where people can't do what you need, we all of a sudden all need to do. It's creating an environment where people have these asynchronous interactions that are extremely slanted and negative. If you're gonna be horny on main on Twitter, fucking do it. Fucking do it. You know, whatever. Don't fucking quote retweet someone on a private account and stir up a bunch of drama when the person you're tweeting about doesn't even know you exist. Like, what the fuck? It's so weird. Yeah. And
the number of people
Twitter
that were
tweeting
angrily at me over my Ad Astra essay, who themselves had NSFW and DNI on it in their bios, and I'm like, you're not supposed to know what Ad Astra is. Why do you have takes about Ad Astra? Ad Astra is an adult game. You should not be engaging with somebody talking about Ad Astra. You shouldn't know enough about it to have takes about Ad Astra. Go away. Follow your own fucking rules.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just weird that it is just all of a sudden on the followees' responsibility. It's like their responsibility to account for whoever the fuck did this, like whoever the fuck is following them, when like we can't even check because like 80% of my followers are fucking private accounts with indescribable names. Like I don't get it.
But every single person that hunts for people like this is functionally homophobic. That's just what they are. Like that they're enforcing homophobia because what they're doing is they're taking the conservative line that these kinds of people are dangerous and need to be controlled or stopped from what they're doing. And they're repeating it. They're enforcing that vigilance on random people on behalf of conservatives. That's what they're doing functionally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an awful thing to do. Like I grew up on an endless fucking deluge of 80s movies that taught me as a minor to be really horny about and leer women. And it wasn't even just that they were movies about like being like aggressively horny about women. There were movies about minors being horny about women. Like that was the most normal fucking movie ever. And we can get into a whole discourse about like how women are being treated in those movies. But the idea that out of nowhere, like any sort of like queer affection or any sort of queer explicitness is some kind of weird, crazy agenda when the straights were doing that the entire time is insane. Like that dichotomy is bizarre to watch, of just how aggressively in your face, down your throat straightness is. And then the gays are just like having a Twitter account and they're the bad guys.
Yeah. It's just nuts. It's like, it's so annoying. And that's why I'm just like, you know what? My shit is just my shit. I'm not going to give a fuck about this. If you look at my profile on Twitter and you're scandalized by the art that I'm liking, this is my free piece of advice for you. Don't follow me. I won't be hurt. It's okay. It's okay. You can not follow me.
I promise
you can do anything else with
we
your
don't
time.
know you exist.
Yeah, I have no idea who you are. You could be the coolest person ever. You could literally be a dying orphan. And here's my promise to you. I don't give a shit about you. It's okay. It's okay. You don't need to follow me. It's all right. It's all right. That's the lesson for the day. Is don't follow people on Twitter who you don't like their content.
I wonder if there's also another issue on that, which is that all of these services, all the things we're complaining about, aren't in our control. We don't own them. We don't have access to them, and we shouldn't. They should be completely owned by another company. But over the years, accountability is starting reasonably to get a lot higher for stuff. Like YouTube's weird, the way that YouTube interacts with content now, like age gating and having the weird like child safety, is because recognizably, like Toaster said, age gating doesn't work. You can't just say, hey, please tell me you're not 13 years old when you're underage or whatever, because you won't. But that doesn't mean that the videos don't get seen by children, which is still a concern. If a parent expects that YouTube has rules in place to prevent their child from getting into it, and YouTube can't guarantee that, then they should not have the rules in the first place. There's no point in asking for an age if you can't actually enforce that, right? And so if that needs to be enforced, then it needs to fall into the content creators, or the alternative. Exactly. YouTube gets to decree no more fucking non-family friendly content. It's now television again, motherfuckers. Follow the FCC rules. Like or FTC, sorry, whatever the broadcasting one is.
FCC,
FCC.
So
yeah, like the FCC won't let me be.
And and like that like that is no, it's funny. It's because that kind of attitude both is correct and incorrect. Because you will get it sucks to have someone tell you what you're allowed to say publicly on the open, but at the same time, otherwise you are accountable for what you say. And if a company doesn't like that, they can and they should absolutely be able to just eject you from the world. Just like, nope, you're gone. You cannot be on this platform anymore. Goodbye. We have rules. But the rules may not follow what works for you. The rules may make you feel like it is exclusionary, and that's totally okay. Because guess what? There's other places to go. And a lot of the past 10 years has been people saying, but I don't want to go somewhere else. I want one place. And this is what you get.
I think the entire internet's just trying to race to figure out how to monetize, but pretend they're not monetizing children, because they're the people with the most free time to be on the internet. But they're also, depending on their age, illegal to encounter most forms of content, because teenagers aren't allowed to be around adult content, and then my younger, whatever the fuck age group, literally cannot have targeted ads at them at all. Like you can't pay attention to who they are. You cannot Transformers them. You cannot Reagan era go after them and be like, I've figured out with all this code how to exactly get into their brain and get them to trick their parents into buying V-Bucks. But those are the people that are in many cases the most lucrative people to go after, even though you
Yes.
can't. And so the fucking every single social platform just keeps getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar over and over and over again, because that's their entire actual goal, and they're supposed to pretend it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
If you-
completely.
if you
I mean,
want-
and
if you
that's
wanna
just like a thing that.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
Fight.
No, I was just gonna say that's like a thing that all platforms are dealing with, is like how do you segregate these things, and how do you make things lucrative, and how do we maximize our lucrativity and stuff like that. And it's just like the answer is the platforms are just shirking responsibility. And it's like it's exactly
Yeah.
what Andrew said, of like someone needs to be held accountable, and like we can't hold YouTube accountable. We can't even fucking email them. You email them and you get a message from a fucking robot that says like, have you read our FAQ? Here's how to change your username. And it's like, that's not even what I asked. What the fuck? So the parents and stuff will take it out on the content creators, and the platform can be like, well, the content creators didn't do a good enough job. And then, you know, the teenagers on the internet who discourse this sort of thing are like, well, the content creators should have done a better job of figuring out who was following them. And it's like, y'all, it's a fucking platform. It's nice to have people who follow me, but I make content for a specific group of people. Don't follow me if you're not in that group of people.
Yeah, I've started, like, my main thing now, especially with the, I guess we could say, like, the collapse of Twitter, or the,
Yep.
I don't know, whatever that is, the being able to like go somewhere else. I now have a specific, like, the reason I stayed on Twitter was for art specifically. I had no cares about anything else on Twitter, because literally it's just a vial of shit. And art on there is lucrative because it is obviously how you make the most money. It's the big platform. And so everyone's on it, everyone makes art for it. That's how you get your money. And once that falls apart, it's like the only leftover art sites you can go to aren't very good. You've got, you know, like a handful of them that are mostly archaic from like 10 years ago that are somehow puttering along. And they're
not, all kind of dying on their own in their own ways too. Yeah.
Yeah, they are mostly dead, but still, just like Twitter's going to be, just kind of just hanging on life support. Someone for some reason keeps funding it, but it's not really there anymore. And so what's nice is that especially with like the way that the federation system works and stuff like that, is that
Frederator.
the federation. But all of the federation system stuff is nice because now I have a specific account that I go to for a place for art. I have a place I can go to for socializing. I have a place I can having multiple different locations to interact is great, because I think the beginning of social media was really about a very importance on followers, which I think is only important should you be someone who needs that. But it's not good for the average person.
Content.
Yeah, an average content creator, or no, sorry, the average consumer should be going to multiple locations to find the things that they want. They should not be sitting on the one big platform. They should say, I want to look at art today. Here's where I go to look at my art. Similar to how like you don't go to the library and read one book. There are multiple books for various different things. And like,
I mean, you don't go to the library to get your groceries, right? Like, it's
that
not
too. Also, yeah. It's as a heads up for when Twitter becomes a bank. Apparently, don't also put money into the place that you talk about how you hate your job and wish you were dead. Like, that's not the ideal position to do that. It's a lot of this isn't young people's fault specifically, because they grew up in this homogenized environment.
Yes. Exactly.
We very much instilled the idea of laziness in, let's all just hang out in one giant room and shout over each other. And it sucks ass. And like, I'll be honest with you, I just want a place that I can go to quietly enjoy art. I don't want discourse in my art. I don't want to have to worry that I liked art and then someone's going to turn around and slap me in the face and be like, our social group doesn't like the fact that you enjoy big dicks on One Piece characters. I'm like, well, fuck. I'm sorry. I guess I should have just, I don't know, told Twitter to like it in private, or I should have bookmarked it so that way it wouldn't notify you. Like, I'm not going to skirt my way around. Like,
oh my God. That's actually a really good point.
I hate
nonsense feature. They created a feature to bookmark tweets so that it didn't notify people what you were liking, but functionally bookmarks and likes are the same thing.
Yeah.
They are just
but
they are the same
count
thing.
Creator
they
note.
count towards a like?
the creator
No.
knows that you bookmarked it too, which is the
Oh.
worst part. It's
The
not even
fact
like
that
a secret
bookmarks are
for
listed
them.
publicly.
Like, yeah.
One of the most cursed
Yeah,
things on the entire website is that private quote tweets and bookmarks are both listed. Like the
Yeah.
moment if I have a take of some kind and I see bookmarks pop up on it, I immediately want to delete it. I'm like, what the fuck? Why
That's what
are you
circles are for,
bookmarking it?
Keith.
The
Come
moment you
on.
fucking bookmark this, I'm thinking like you're like using this against me later, aren't you? That's your goal. Like you're putting
think-
this fucking take on a cork board so you can attack me with it.
The thing with bookmarks, though, is that the way people use them most often is people who want to agree with you but don't want that agreement to be public on their account. That's
Which
what
is nonsensical
bookmarks
because
are
that's not even what it
Is-
accomplishes.
Yeah, like people,
Well, yeah,
people
that's
use
the problem.
bookmarks.
Yeah.
People use bookmarks because you can't go to someone's page and then click their bookmarks tab. There isn't a bookmarks tab, so
I
they want
bookmark
to
two
like the
things.
porn you post and then they bookmark it. But they're like, oh no, like this is two cereal mascots. I'm gonna get discoursed for sexualizing the cereal mascots. I can't put that in my likes, but I can bookmark it, and then you bookmark it. That's what that's for. That's how people use them. But the crazy thing is you could do that just by making it so that the fucking likes tab was private. Like, I don't know why people like just don't share people's likes. Don't do it, Twitter. Why are you doing this? It just encourages that flywheel of like upsetting people. And as we're learning, which is really interesting, as we're learning, this will be the death of Twitter. Like, Twitter is dying. It is hemorrhaging users. Blue Sky is doing amazing. Mastodon has more signups than anything else. Co-host, or than ever before, I mean. Co-host and Pillow Fort are doing really great. Like, we have all of these new fractured sites, which sounds bad, but it's actually fucking amazing. It's
You
so
can- you
good.
can-
It's because the
weren't
only
here
upside of
for the
Twitter is that it's
MySpace.
where a lot of people are that I want to interact with. But they aggressively made a Twitter account unfun to use and have.
Yeah.
Like you feel the eyes of everyone on you all the time. So you police yourself constantly. Every thought you have, you're like, is this worth putting out there? Are people going to, is this going to be like I deleted a tweet yesterday because it was just like just a funny little observation. And then people are going to immediately try to like, I immediately saw that people were trying to find the angle. Like people were trying to find how to get offended by this and how to like reinterpret it in bad faith to not be what I meant and get mad at the idea that they made up in their head about what I meant. And it's like and of course like everything we talked about today about it, like interacting with adult content or art and all these ways where every form of interaction you can do on Twitter is broadcasted to everyone, whether you want it to or not. Like you don't get a choice in whether it's broadcasted, and then that thing becomes another way of policing you of like, and so that makes you not want to use half the features on Twitter, which pushes people more and more. Like once upon a time, likes were a way to interact with something in a way where you could find it later without necessarily showing it to everybody on the timeline back when it was a chronological retweeted timeline feed like Tumblr and whatnot, or how Blue Sky currently is. But then likes became a public thing that would broadcast it everyone. So now you bookmark things, and there's like a series of like we keep retreating away from the public because there's certain interactions you just want, like on a basic logistical level, you want to be able to have, but you're like afraid that every interaction and thought you have might like have consequences, like essentially. And it's frustrating because this all came from
And the thing is
place
that
that made
95%
sense.
of these things, though, the thing with these things is that none of this stuff should even reasonably have it's not like you're doing something secretive and evil. I'll be like, I'll see someone be like, man, I think I liked Barbie more than Oppenheimer, and then I go to like it and I'm like, can't have the Oppen heads in my fucking DMs, and then I like don't like it, you know?
It's gonna be like it's gonna be like
head.
Toaster liked this. Let's show this to everybody.
And then it's like, oh no, Toaster's making a stance about Barbie over Oppenheimer. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to have this conversation today. I don't have the mental energy for it. This is not what I'm going to do. And like, it's one thing to call people out for like liking really terrible content. You know, like a politician likes, a fucking horny picture that a 16-year-old posts. Like that's kind of sus. It's good to be able to call that shit out. But it's just crazy that we've created an environment now where, I go to like a tweet that's like, you know, like a meme about the fucking Baldur's Gate 3 bear, and then all of a sudden I'm like, can I interact with this, or is it going to make my day bad? I don't know if I can. I guess I'm not going to interact with it. I sign into Twitter now like once in a while just to wait for a commission to come in. The second I get my last commission, I have a Vetiver commission coming in. I'm really excited about it. The moment that I get it, Twitter's fucking, I'm deleting it for good. I'm done. I'm on other platforms. I'm so ready for it to be gone, because every single time I log into this fucking site, it just inflicts psychic damage on me. It just inflicts psychic damage on me. Just even using it sucks.
I like to think, again, I like to think of it like the exodus that we experienced between like MySpace to Facebook and Facebook to Twitter, or to actually Facebook had a weird exodus point similar to Twitter is now, where everyone broke off from Facebook and kind of went to, or from
different places. Yeah,
MySpace broke off and people just either went to like Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. Like there were a handful of
Tumblr,
Tumblr, and that's like where some of the ones you know today existed, was because the fracture of MySpace's homogeny over social media. And then just boom, we all just ran somewhere else. We all eventually picked one of the 5 that turned into the next great, and then now Twitter's dying now, and now one of the next, like we're gonna do the thing again. And it's fine, but I think the importance is that I, for one, am going to take this lesson very sternly and say, like, I'm done. I am absolutely done with going onto the one big platform. I'm happy and content with just not knowing half of the people on this planet. It's kind of okay, actually. And
I don't need to look into the screaming void anymore. I learned my lesson in trying to participate in the hell void.
I think the thing is, for me especially, is that I have learned to be more vigilant of the way actions take place in my world. I need to be more aware of things. I am aware that is like the way that I live my life is very different from others, but also other people are kind of going through like similar shit, and maybe we should just all agree this is a bad thing. And that kind of stuff you can still do without being constantly in a spotlight while doing it. I don't need to I don't, again, I don't need to go onto a website and think like, I'm going to write about how Barbie's great, and someone's going to come at me with like, did you know that there is an extinction event happening right now? It's like, look, man, I just want to talk about Barbie. I didn't want to
I wanted to say that I liked the funny movie.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't check the trending tab and see that it was #Apocalypse Day. Fuck. Like, I'm sorry, man. Maybe next time I'll figure it out. But like, that's the thing, is like,
this is actually reminding me of an event, and one of the reasons why I like kind of receded from the internet for as long as I did was I used to moderate a relatively large social media platform, we'll call it that, and there was so much shit going on, and I was doing coverage on a very large video game event, so I was posting a lot of video game news. And like randomly in the middle of the day, because I'm a public figure, I was a public figure on this platform, I receive a DM straight to my inbox from it was like an open letter signed by a bunch of people. And they were like, your silence on the events happening in India right now is deafening. And I literally was like, what?
You woke up to my exact fear that I've repeated over and over again. I keep talking about like one day I'm gonna wake up, I'm like as if I had fired something off the night before, then woken up the next morning and just been like, open Twitter, just like, your silence is deafening. I'm like, what the fuck happened? What is I what?
Yeah, like,
how,
I don't know.
What had happened, and how is it somehow my fault or problem? Like, what the fuck is social media?
We need to. I mean, it's one thing if I were
this
to.
This is the new stress dream people have,
really...
instead of the idea of like being naked in class for tested in study for.
Yeah.
Not me.
It's like, it's one thing to get on someone for being insensitive about something that they are aware of. And, obviously there's like microaggressions in the world that we need to like consciously, work around and correct our behavior for. But being like, you're not online 24/7. You don't know what happened in this random location. This is like a huge social event that you should be aware of. And it's like, bruh, Google knows that all I care about is video games. So it's not going to tell me about the conflict in your like region out there that I never interact with and in a language that I don't speak. Like, I'm sorry that I had no idea that something bad was happening. And then the thing is, though, is that when I was moderating and working on this platform, like, this became an issue. Like the rest of the mod team had to discuss it. We had to sit there and be like, do we need to put out a statement about this? And like, do we need to take a stance? I guess we do, because people are upset that we didn't. And it's like, that is just like the most unhealthy way to interact with an audience. I don't understand why we did that to ourselves. And that's why I ended up like quitting, doing that, because I was just like, I can't be public facing in this way, because like I can't know everything.
And
I'm trying to cover
this was
video
a
games.
video game community.
And
like,
and again, now you extend that out to the world, right? Like that is what Twitter felt like, is that you would show up and people would, like, your timeline would get filled with people reacting to certain events. And it's like, I'll be honest with you, man. I follow you because you draw really good boobs. I do not care about your personal stance on take on this thing. And I kind of wish I could just get a feed, and not in like a separate the artist from the art type of way, but just like, that's not what I wanted to follow your feed for at all either. I just wanted a stream. I just want an RSS feed of fucking art that I can look at. That is all I'm asking for. You can have opinions. I don't want to silence you. I want you to put your opinions on an opinion app that we all get to bark at opinions about. And I want to have an app called Art App, and you put your fucking art on it. And like, that's the problem that we have when we like are so intertwined with every single thing into one area. Like, if we have to talk about video games next to the people who are crying about genocide, we look a little insensitive. We're just sitting here like, man, I can't believe the graphics of this game didn't hold up. And some guy's like, I wish my wife didn't get melted. And I'm like, well, I feel kind of bad. I feel bad about that guy's wife getting melted, but I also feel bad about the graphics. Should I post about the graphics? Like, is it going to be insensitive?
This is one of those things too, is it's like, one of the reasons why I've been enjoying Blue Sky so much is that there's this very big culture against just like constantly reposting negativity, and people are being pretty serious about it, which is great.
Yeah.
But like, the thing that bothers me about things like, these like hyper vigilant posts about like, you need to worry about interacting with X, Y, and Z because of all of their flaws and stuff. Normal, or like, why, here's my big 27 tweet thread about a horrible genocide that you didn't realize was happening until just now. It's like, it is very important to get the word out, but a lot of the negativity we interact with on a daily basis, especially on social media, are things that most of these users already agree with by default.
Yeah, you're not changing anyone's mind, and you're also not you're almost never actually warning people about an insidious problem that was actually in their life. So you're just signal boosting and directing attention to a bad thing that nobody was interacting with to begin with.
Yes. So it's like, people will be like, here's my big tweet thread about genocide. If you don't like this, then that means you endorse genocide. And it's like, I would hope that you all understand that I think genocide is bad, and that I don't need to read this 29, tweet thread
You've peppered in a couple context clues over the years.
Like algorithmically, this thing is algorithmically now being fed to me because everyone is panic liking every single tweet in this 29 tweet thread about some genocide that just makes sense that people wouldn't want to agree with. Like, it's like, yeah, a lot of children are being melted into necklaces for rich people. Take a stance on it. And it's like, great. Now I'm going to spend my day
pressed child necklace.
Exactly. I'm going to get sad about blood diamonds now, a thing I already categorically took a stance against by existing and not buying blood diamonds. But I guess this is just my day now, where I have to virtue signal to everyone that I don't care about blood diamonds.
Blue Sky has proved to be one of the most well-named websites, because it's named I presume that it's named essentially after the idea of like the skies, the clouds parting and the blue sky being revealed and so on. And it's inherently just like the shelter for covering Twitter users. And
its name
the
is
overwhelming
plain. That's not the reason, but that is a good way to think of it.
That is what it
actually
feels. That's the entirety of what
you are a fool.
It's the entirety of what it feels like, and that's why like it's extremely noticeable that the overwhelming sensation, especially in like furry Blue Sky, is just this overwhelming feeling of like a sigh of relief.
Now.
Yeah, everyone's just breathing out and just like, Oh fuck. We're back to 2006 Tumblr. We did it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like one of the things, so the reason why Blue Sky is called Blue Sky is because it was built to be a platform that they could like Twitter has been needing a platform rewrite for a really long time. It had been proposed many, many times, but you just like, it's really hard to just rebuild a website into a new protocol. So they made Blue Sky, which would be the thing the Twitter bird flies in. Like that's like the idea behind it is it's like the thing behind Twitter. There you go. It's new Twitter. It's the blue sky that the birds fly through. That's where all the tweets are.
Oh yeah, if Twitter's
but
so
then
good,
it's-
why isn't there a Twitter 2?
It literally is. And then
Yeah.
it eventually spun off into its own thing and then became its own company. And now we have Blue Sky, which is just better Twitter, and Mastodon, which is just better Twitter, and all of these other Fediverse things that are just better Twitter, because people actually stopped and went, wait, maybe the big platform that doesn't work and is built like shit shouldn't be the only thing we use.
And it's very funny that the idea of a better than Twitter site is just a super crunchy, half functioning thing with like 3 features.
Yeah, that's what's great about it, though. That's actually another thing I have to say is that I actually want websites to stop adding more features.
Yeah.
Like
After they
like-
add an NSFW tag.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
You need you need a manual tag for NSFW on stuff like that on Blue Sky especially.
This
but
stupid fucking website has.
Wait, what? I didn't
Blue-
even notice that. It doesn't have an NS. Like
Blue
you can't
Sky-
tag things
No.
yourself.
Yeah, like Blue Sky
You
was
can't manually
somewhat
tag it.
Blue Sky was somewhat infamous for when you sign up, there's like these sliders of like, do you want to show, warn, or completely hide / basically shadow ban like pornography or hate speech or all these other like sensitive subjects. But you can't flag any post as any of those. So
Yeah.
like people are
it's
like,
all algorithmic.
you just have to hope the AI will retroactively notice that a picture that's entirely your dick is NSFW. And I tested the waters a little bit with this, not with my dick, but I tested the waters by posting a picture and saying NSFW and hashtag NSFW in the description, and it still showed up for people that have NSFW set to warn. So I'm like, all right, so this website just doesn't work. Like whatever
Yeah,
level of
there's no
AI it
manual
has
tagging.
literally doesn't know to hide things that are literally described as NSFW.
It's because it's reading. It's because it's reading the actual image, and this is
Yeah.
where it gets
And
complicated.
it's too dumb to look at any
because-
context at all.
Yeah, we found out. I say we, but Blue Sky users found out very quickly that Blue Sky is really, really good at figuring out like what is a penis and what is a hot dog, but it's really, really bad at finding out what is a dragon penis and what is a hot dog. So all of a sudden, every single person who was on Blue Sky before the first furry migration, like 2 weeks ago, suddenly the what's hot and classic like popular feeds were just all furry porn because the AI algorithm could detect real life porn and keep real life porn and drawn pictures of like anime girls out of the feeds, but it couldn't tell what was dragon dong and what wasn't. So
It was very
all of a
entertaining.
sudden it was all furry porn for weeks, and it in some ways still is. So a lot of Blue Sky right now by volume is like 80% furries. It's gained like 200,000 users in
That's
the
pretty
past.
good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Blue Sky
it's
was
gained
not ready for
200,000 users or
the
something.
modern reality of the fact that furries are an incredibly connected and signal boosted and like very active community.
Engaged
so when you make an
community,
invite only system for signing up for a website, it'll immediately go to the furries, who will especially immediately send it up to the artists that they like if they don't have a mutual they want to invite to, and then all of those artists are all interconnected with each other, and so immediately like the day that X happened, I was like, okay, I'll redeem the invite that Illusory already sent me. Every single furry artist I was following, I was sitting there trying to find them on Blue Sky, and they had all made their account like that hour. Like instantly a flip switch the moment X happened, and every single high profile furry artist was instantly on Blue Sky and posting their art, and that quickly became a Blue Sky problem or an amazing boon. I don't know, but there's this message from like, was it this guy called Will Turner,
Is that this is insane. There are at least 5 furry porn images on what's hot right now. Have you lost control of this platform? And I'm like, yes, they have. It's time to just cede control and just embrace that this is the identity of Blue Sky now. It'll never recover.
Yeah. But it's interesting though too, because Blue Sky, because it's an invite oriented platform, I low key think you should never be able to just sign up for an account. You should need a code. You need to know someone. It might be easier to get them once you get accounts. But I think that it should always be invite forever, because what we're seeing is that putting a toe-high barrier to account registration on Blue Sky is preventing the kind of shitty behavior that plagued Twitter, where people would like sock puppet accounts and segment their accounts and like do these things of like having a private account that you retweet drama on. You can't do that because invites only go out once every 2 weeks and you only get one of them. So it's like, if you waste an invite on making a private account for yourself, people look at you like you wasted something, because that could have gone to like an artist, that could have gone to like a musician or a content creator or your friend. It could have gone to someone who would just engage with you. So it's like, it's such a better platform for that reason.
It led to a flattening in 2 different ways. Because one, yes, nobody has a second account that's dedicated to privately talking shit about people and spreading drama and being all the worst parts of Twitter. But also, nobody has a second account for their After Dark. So everyone just everyone just gave up and started posting all their adult content on their main account. It was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go.
But the cool thing is,
been quite a change.
It has been. The first day on Blue Sky was like, oh, I have seen every single furry artist naked now. I see, perfect. But it's been interesting because it's all AI. You can't manually tag your NSFW, so you have to kind of rely on the AI to capture it. But one thing that I will say is that it is actually pretty good at it. And if you have your settings set to warn, and you're not gonna see a dick pic on your timeline, you'll be okay. You won't see anyone's butthole. It's all right.
Do you remember why Hoggeddon happened? It was like Boozy Badger, right?
Yeah, Boozy Badger posted. He had like an argument with someone where he was like, if I get over 300 followers during this migration, like I'll post Hog as a joke. And then he immediately got 300 followers. So we posted Hog, and then in solidarity, everyone else posted Hog. So Fridays now are Fat Hog Friday, where people post pictures of their hogs. And that's the thing that happens now on Blue Sky. But the thing is you would never know if you had the content set to hide, which also helps avoid some of the issues that we had on Twitter, where Twitter still had elective NSFW, but there was no way to just say, never show me any of this. It would be like, here's a sensitive post that's all blurred. Are you sure you don't want to click it? And it would just like show it to people.
Yeah.
So now there's kind of like a self-selected After Dark toggle, I guess is the best way to put it, for Blue Sky that seems to be working really well. People seem to be really enjoying it, and it's created a very different culture, at least on furry Blue Sky, where people are not afraid to just post their stuff and consolidate and share invites with people they actually want to interact with. And as a result, it's better social media. It's so much better than Twitter. It's unbelievable.
It's been an experience.
Yep.
When Andrew joined, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, because for me, it's going to be. I mean, Blue Sky will be the place that I go to send my hot takes. That will be the place that I use Blue Sky for. Because I have an art place. I already have a place that I go to view art, and it's really great. And it has, I don't know why, it has way better NSFW features. Like
Mastodon stuff in general is just way better with features on that front.
And mine needs it because mine has like an uncomfortably high amount of porn constantly.
Yeah.
To the point where, and it's like, it's all porn I can't look at. It's all porn I cannot click the like turn this tag off for.
Yeah.
But it's it's nice. It's nice being, and it's great being able to have a button that you click on, and it opens a gallery, and the gallery is organized by folders, and you can click on it and look at the photo like images, and I can go, holy shit, I can just view an entire artist portfolio, and I don't have to sift through the 13th same fucking GIF reaction that they send to people who like their fucking goddamn art. And it's just like I cannot stress enough how like I understand and I get so frustrated knowing that like this is the only way that artists can interact, because like it sucks that this is the site that everyone's on. But I also hate being the guy that is like, yeah, you absolutely should not have an art site that you use regularly. Like, it is infuriating trying to like, I really like your art. You better have a place I can go that just has it, because otherwise,
just is your art.
I'm just gonna be pissed. Like,
especially since some of these people are so basic that they post the same reaction GIF 20 times in a row.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my god,
it's the
have
same
some
SpongeBob.
variety,
Stop.
please.
Like, I will kill you.
They'll have their favorite
God.
fucking picture and they'll use it constantly. I'm like, please just have a gallery, please. I start desperately searching for their gallery somewhere so you can just look at their art. And like, yeah, like on Blue Sky, you can just set up a feed. I have 2 feeds already on Blue Sky where I just can manually tag basically all art that isn't mine, and then all art that I did make myself as 2 separate feeds. And then you can just click on that feed to browse that stuff instead of being like, I gotta click his media tab and then just deal with what happens because every fucking reply is here and so on.
Yeah. Well, I think too, the thing with Twitter that makes the media tab so annoying, and I don't know, maybe I'm just not understanding it, but like browsing the media tab sucks, because when you actually go to browse it, you click into it and it opens the picture, not the tweet. You have the bottom reblog and like thing, but if I want to like go to this tweet to see the replies, there's nowhere for me to click other than to copy the own link to the tweet and then paste it into my URL. Like, it's so bad. It is such a poor site in terms of usability.
Almost every single Twitter feature seems designed by somebody who doesn't understand why anyone would use it.
Yeah.
Like, one of the worst features is the fact that you can block people, but if somebody responds to a person that you have blocked or who has blocked you, or any kind of interaction happens surrounding people that you have blocked or have blocked you, Twitter just still shows you each other constantly, but as this frustrating, unknowable person, it'll either constantly show you, here's an account you blocked, and give you the option to show them. And I'm like, the goal was to not interact or remember this person anymore, so why are you showing me a tweet that I can open from them? And on the other hand, from the other half of this perspective, it'll say, this person controls what kind of tweets what kind of people can access their account or whatever. And every now and then that's a private account. A lot of the time is they specifically blocked you. Especially like as I'm becoming a more public figure that is hated by more people for increasingly confusing reasons. I'm getting blocked a lot more, and I'm just seeing a lot more of these like infuriating tweets where it's just like it keeps showing me the blocked person. And I'm like, this person's goal was to not interact with me. Why are you reporting their behaviors to me? Like, I don't know if there's a picture and then somebody who blocked me replied to it, and then the artist replied to them, just hide both. I don't need to see the artist reply to the blocked person. You don't need to contextualize it in the context of like, this artist replied to somebody who blocked you or you blocked. It's like, fuck you. We're supposed to not know each other exists. That's the whole point of a block feature.
Yeah, completely agree.
No, it's exactly that. It's more engagement if they show it, because the site wants people to fight.
Yes.
Yeah, it wants people to be miserable all the time. Yeah.
That's why it's important to have places that don't incite violence, that you can hang out at.
Controlling the flow of traffic is really important, especially when it comes to like minimizing violence, right? Like the best way to deal with this sort of thing isn't to like figure out the best algorithm to make people not engage with negative stuff. It's just like make an environment where people just don't post negative stuff, and if they do, don't make it so easy for people to find. There you go. Problem solved.
Yep. And it's been very frustrating because the entire website is so very obviously designed to create conflict. And as I'm seeing from Blue Sky users, we're all very aware of how painful Twitter is to use and how many of these behaviors are deeply infuriating and bad and why we don't want to recreate them. But that has never stopped people from doing it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, people have never
Yeah.
just like self-policed for even a moment to be like, is this worth doing? Is this quote retweet worth making? Because I did that. I specifically stopped doing any quote retweets like a year or two ago, maybe even more at this point. I don't know, like, because I realized, like, hey, this entire feature is exclusively bad unless you're like signal boosting somebody's crowdfunding project or something, or sharing
The only
art
reason
or
why
something.
I use it is if there's like a good post where it's like, here's my cool art with like a funny joke in it, and then I want to like comment on that, and I'm like, haha, this one made me laugh pretty good.
Yeah.
Like the
80%
quote
of my
retweets should just be used for positive replies.
Yeah, 80% of my quote retweets are me sharing fan art while like surfacing my reply to it in the form of a quote retweet, because replying to it doesn't work the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the
Which
correct
is
way to
insane.
use it. You should not be using it to dunk on people, because that just gives that person attention, spreads negativity, introduces this fight to dozens or hundreds or thousands of more people. And also, because of how Twitter works, we've known this for too long for anyone to act like they don't know at this point. It's been too obvious for the last like 6 years. The moment any quote retweet gets any level of attention, that person gets harassed. Like it gets dark very quickly, and things get just fucked up. Like, that's just how that site has worked, and every person needs to behave in a way where they understand that that's what their behavior is inviting when they do that. Like, it's just not that deep.
Yeah.
But the community has refused to even slightly improve ever. And given how many people were happy to pay for Twitter the moment that it happened, and all those people had the worst possible takes, and they all got front loaded to being the top replies of every single thing ever that had any level of impact, and they all had the worst, most homophobic, hateful, nightmarish thoughts. It's irredeemable. The site's not savable. This community is not. There's nothing to save. This community is not worth protecting or rehabilitating. They will never behave better. They will never not be just a website about harassment. That unfortunately is also the best place to get art.
Yeah.
Like, that's the feature.
I think
that's like the core feature of the whole website. That is its business model, is creating and spreading outrage and not caring how it affects the people that it targets. That's literally
honestly,
no wonder Elon Musk
here-
bought it, because he's been exploiting people his whole life.
So obviously the problem here is artists again. Yet again, content creators have fucking ruined everything for us because they didn't just pick a better site to put art on. And now that they put all their stupid shit on fucking Twitter, now we got to see all this beautiful art next to all this pile of shit. So again,
It's
it
users'
comes back.
fault.
Why don't content creators police their fucking things?
It's
Why don't
users'
they just do a
fault.
better
People who
job
make
of
art
moderating?
have pretty consistently, until recently, posted across multiple platforms, and Twitter was just like another place to post it, akin to like how I post a YouTube video sometimes.
Twitter's just the last bastion. That's the thing.
Twitter's just where it
the
works.
Widest reach. Yeah.
Whereas it doesn't work for me, because Twitter actively deboosts and tries to shadow ban anything that's about an outside link and so on. If you're sharing art, like a linear, non-algorithmic gallery site where people can only find you through word of mouth, will never compete with like algorithmic, like viral picture sharing and so on. Like fucking Purple Chunks having an aneurysm every day because new discourse happens over his love handles drawing every day, because it just keeps living forever and ever. Like, that never happens to somebody's deviant art post. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Those websites just don't work that way. So in many cases, these people are posting on multiple sites. It's just that Twitter's the only place where people actually see their stuff. And then you get a younger generation of people like MASH and everyone who exclusively would post their art on Twitter, because that's just where
it's the only
they
site
saw,
that existed.
Yeah, it's the only place
when
they ever
alive.
saw art, because that's where everyone was posting it, because it's so hard to find any of the other places. We got to fix everybody.
Yeah, we are, though. That's what happens with the fall of Twitter. It's actually happening. What we talked about a few weeks ago is finally coming to fruition. People are going to other websites, and guess what? They're fucking better.
Yeah.
We're going back to the old internet, sort of.
I've got two
Nature is
pins, and it's dubious whether they're worth going back to. but I have 2 pinned topics that I never got to quite finish from an hour ago and from 2 hours ago that were the creations of our conversations. But just for the poor people who remember that the conversation happened and then that it didn't, the topic never got addressed and then we moved on, I will save you now. The Andrew One Piece art, and I realized that after, in the context of the last hour of conversation, I'm basically the bad guy in this conversation now. But it was that I confronted Andrew for the content because it was funny. Because Twitter surfaced his likes in that form where it advertises your likes, and he had liked One Piece art where it was all the dudes from One Piece all sucking on popsicles together, and they all had hard-ons, and they were all like shiny in general. They're very like wet and moist looking, and they were just it was just explicitly softcore erotic art. And Andrew was just so painfully straight that he didn't even register what he was looking at. And so when I was scrolling Twitter during matchmaking in Overwatch, I just had to bring it up because it was the fucking funniest thing that could possibly happen. and that was what caused this entire last hour of topic about the state of the internet and all that other nightmare and everything. The other one is about my burnout, not my burnout, but like my self-created hole of hobby jobs and so on. Something really interesting happened in the last year, which is that I had some extra incentive to make the essay channel work because of the fact that my Let's Play channel was becoming unprofitable. Like it had been trending downward for like the last like 18 months. And whenever I bring this up, people rudely blame it on furry stuff, even though the furry stuff started like a month ago when I mentioned that, and I was talking about a long-term trend, but that's just showing them that they're mad. They just don't want me to express myself. Great. But I was like, okay, well, I had this channel where I did gaming content, and it was consistently growing at a specific linear rate, and my income was growing year to year at a linear rate. Like, this is sustainable. This at least, at the very least, I can maintain what I have right now with this, and it'll stay that way, and maybe it'll grow eventually into something that I can do more with. But for like a year, it was trending downward, and that's scary to see things going down because like it's all algorithm and it's all you just doing your thing. And it's like, okay, do I have to do a massive format change and piss off all my audience because the YouTube is deprioritizing this behavior, or they collectively are by saying they want it but not actually clicking on it, or something else or whatever. Like, do I need to make some kind of change just to be a responsible adult that has to figure out how to make a living this way? And so one of my approaches was that I wanted to make the essay channel work because that seemed like the biggest opportunity for growth was the fact that, like, I mean, it has been like, look at how the Lego She and Astra essays went. Like, that is obviously a level of like reach that I can't have making Let's Plays. Like, they just don't work the same way on YouTube like that. So I can't keep doing what I do to grow that way. And so that was one of the extra incentives to work extra hard on that, and why I was getting extra anxious about that stuff. And so the big plot twist is that while I was kind of backing myself into a corner of working multiple jobs, I kind of have accidentally turned the essay channel back into a hobby, or at least I've significantly reduced the stakes there. I still do want it to take off because I do want to grow my income, and I want to, be able to afford my own place and other stuff like that, like, basic trajectory through your lifetime stuff that people have in their careers. But the fucking weirdest thing is that, like, we did really just have a conversation about it in the Discord, and then just on a whim, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna make a new Patreon tier, $5 for early access to Let's Plays. That has been so fucking successful for the last, like, 2 or 3 months that it has completely eclipsed any level of income that I have made or ever hoped to make in the near future from the essays, period. That has done so well that it has undone the pressure to fix the sinking ship at the very least.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not skyrocketing into some sort of, like, I'm not getting any sort of, like, what people consider to be success on YouTube, like actually making, like, a good living and being comfortable and that kind of stuff. Like, that's not what's happening. But I did right the ship, like, practically overnight because people were so supportive of that particular perk and enjoyed that specifically. So that has been a huge boon and has recontextualized the SA channel a little bit. Like I'm still working on it all the time, and I am anxious about how long it's been since the last video came out, because I feel like I'm like, especially since success in the way that it happened with the Lego Sheet video is so unlikely, that if I don't capitalize on it correctly, it feels like I'm squandering that platform and essentially like just dropping the ball when I got it, and that kind of opportunity won't happen again probably. And I've been trying to figure out like different tactics for staying on task and figuring out how to like get my workflow right to get more videos out sooner and more frequently, hopefully, and juggling projects there and so on. But the fact that it's not like a thing that I have to figure out, get on track and make it my primary job within the next year, or I like start having to look at quitting YouTube, has been a huge change. Also, it definitely does call the bluff a bit of people saying like, nah, you just got to have a Patreon and like people will just support you because they like supporting you and they want your channel to. Nah, you need perks. You definitely need to give people a thing that they want to pay for, and they're getting a thing, and that's why they support the channel. That is provably, very obviously, what actually gets people to do it. It is not just like, oh, I like your content and I watch it all the time and I want to support you. No, that doesn't work. But in particular, my Patreon was being hurt by my essay channel because of the fact that once upon a time, the boon of my Patreon was the fact that it had this whole nomination and voting system, which I think for a small Let's Play channel is a very powerful incentive to hop on a Patreon, especially at smaller scales. But as the channel has grown, the chance that your nomination will win has shrunk, and the value of individual votes has shrunk. But also, I restructured the schedule to be for the Let's Plays to be kind of slower across the board, to give myself a harder limit on how much content I'm making each week, to give me more time to work on the essay channel, which then means that those votes happen even further apart from each other, while also having the issue where the increased scale makes the voting less impactful. So the only main perk I could reliably give Patreon people was becoming less frequent and less potent, and so the whole nomination voting thing just was becoming a worse perks for reasons that I couldn't completely control. And so this has been like a huge change. It's just been like, hey, here's just fuck it. Whenever I upload, I don't do this for multiplayer videos because it's too much redundant content to constantly double upload. But every single main and playthrough, basically within a day or two of me recording it, I put it in a big compilation video and put that up on Patreon, and they just get it right away. And it's just completely agnostic. It surfaces my recording schedule a bit because it's completely agnostic to the release schedule. It just comes out when it's the moment it's ready, and then on the YouTube side of things, it just kind of gets added to the end of the current schedule backlog to be queued up for next week or 3 months from now, whenever that slot is currently at right now. And that has worked. That has been a trip to watch.
It helps that we launched it with the games that it launched with, though, right? Like we had Arches, and then Fear and Hunger, and now Fear and Hunger 2, and we had a bunch of other random shit in there that just like made it, I think it was very appealing, so it was like an easy buy-in. And then I think when people realized like, oh shit, like I get a whole bunch of stuff now immediately whenever I want to, like whenever Kid does it, it's such an easy sell. Like people really like it.
It's also wild how well Fear and Hunger is doing right now. I have not had a successful playthrough on this channel since like 2019.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. Have you actually reached? I only watched a couple of episodes of Fear and Hunger. Did you reach the ending?
Of the first game, we got 5 endings. Yeah, we got all of them.
Yeah, we finished Fear and Hunger 1 and started Fear and Hunger 2. But I'm saying like.
You're saying like it's popping off.
It used to be that you would like you know what this means, Colonel, because you've got a channel. Like there are just videos that just keep going. They just keep going forever. It's like, look at that. You look at your analytics. It's like, yep, that video from 3 years ago is still there. Just top 10. It's always there. Somehow it's just hanging in there. Like you get used to as a Let's Player watching your older content be the majority of your, or not, if not the majority of your views, they're like your top videos every month, and not any of the stuff you actually uploaded that month. And so you just, and you kind of like, So you uploading videos day to day is you maintaining your audience and keeping them happy, and then just kind of like hoping you'll randomly hit that Skinner box of one of those videos taking off and actually going somewhere. And that's completely out of your control, except for maybe like some certain levels of like, trend predicting and chasing to some extent, if that's the type of channel you want to have. And if you don't run your channel that way, then there's consequences. Because like I think in 2019 I had like multiple playthroughs that did really well, like Disco Elysium and Outer Wilds and Pathologic 2 and stuff like that. And pretty much for like the last like 3 years, like not a single playthrough has had a life beyond its initial viewership the day it was uploaded, basically. Like it's just been immediately forgotten content. And it's not because like the content got worse or anything or changed format. If anything, it's the fact that it didn't change format. I'm not chasing trends and instead just making the stuff that my audience wants, but that's not how you make things that take off. But half the time I don't know what will take off, because fucking State of Decay 1 and 2 took off for some reason. And I was like, those are Hail Mary games that my audience didn't even like when I uploaded them at the time. And for some reason, they're some of my most popular playthroughs. It's like, it just happens. And you just get used to that. And you just get used to the idea that it'll randomly happen every now and then. And you get real nervous when it just stops happening for a few years and you don't know what changed. So, but nowadays, I opened my analytics for the last like 2 months. And the top 10 videos have just been Fear and Hunger, like from top to bottom. It's been like one Ad Astra animation, and then Fear and Hunger parts like 1 through 9 are like my top 10 videos. And right now my top 10 videos are 4 parts of Fear and Hunger 1, 2 parts of Fear and Hunger 2, 2 perp animations, the Ad Astra one and the Echo one. And then, of all things, are the Queer Kids versus High School podcast we did about a month ago, which I guess was just a very good title and thumbnail combo, because that one already has 4,000 views, and just it's been hanging in there in a weird way.
I think the topic probably got shared around a lot, is probably why it was.
Yeah, but it's
where it is.
It's very encouraging to see a playthrough take over my analytics, because that hasn't happened for fucking ever.
Yeah, that's
but anyway,
awesome.
Things are doing okay. Maybe I'll be able to afford an apartment one day.
Ideally, that would be incredibly useful for your ability to produce and relax at the same time.
But anyway, those are the 2 topics that we like started talking about, but then got hard sidelined in that for an hour or 2 each. And so I just wanted to get back to those. We are past Colonel's bedtime. This is an accidental 3-hour podcast. What have we done? No one's watching this one. See you guys next time. Send your questions to dialogchoicespodcast@gmail.com, or don't. It's okay.
No, please do.
We'll find
That'd
you.
be nice.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of questions to go off of.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're mean, bad people who complain about the questions when we do get them. Like, oh, what's your favorite dinosaur? Like, fucking,
that's the best part.
Make better questions, you fucker.
That's the best part.
Wow.
What's your favorite video game?
What games are you playing right now?
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.